So really, right? So in this playthrough with my Imperial, gonna side with the Imperials, I completely skipped Riverwood. Like originally with my Nord playthrough, my goal was to not go to Whiterun, and so at the start of this one, I was like, what can I do different? And I didn't go to Riverwood. So what my question is, because I never go to Riverwood and talk to the blacksmith, that's his cousin or uncle. That's what it is, of the Imperial Guard that escorts you out of a Helgen's cave, which is more enjoyable than Oblivion's cave at the very
Good
beginning.
God, that's not saying much.
It leads into the sewer, so you're still not out. But um, because I don't go to Riverwood, does the events at Whiterun never happen? Like when I walk in, they kill the giant, and the companions talk to me, tell me to go talk to the Y'all.
Yeah, because canonically, the Dragonborn wouldn't know to go to Whiterun,
Right,
but you, on your thousandth playthrough, know to do that. You just refuse flat out to do it.
right.
So you just not just as you skip Riverwood, are you just not going to go to Whiterun again?
I don't know. I'll see what happens because I can't progress. For what I understand, other than getting the high elf companion or the bard, really the only other mission I can think of is just the one that tells you to go to right one. But because that one's not active, maybe it doesn't happen. But it because I don't go to Riverwood, it really doesn't change really anything, and it doesn't affect any of the DLCs or any, as far as I know, any of the further missions, other than killing the time dragon.
How dare your RPG have scripted events? It's almost like the developers intended for you to play the game a particular way,
Hmm.
and you just say no. I don't think I will. In my role playing game, I'm not going to do what you want me to do. And you play literally the opposite from however they intended something. If they want you to go to this location, you're not going to go there. It even goes to Oblivion. There's a scripted event. Spoilers, folks, for Oblivion. The game's been out for a while. It's Elder Scrolls 4.
It's the
Okay.
first time I played it was last night.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be the last if you know what's good for you. But spoilers, Uriel Septim dies. The Emperor himself, who's been there since Arena and Daggerfall, who always has visions. He's like Pontius Pilate's wife, always having visions about chosen ones. It's weird how that works. Um, but it's like he dies like the first 15 minutes. It's a scripted event. Almost like everyone knows, except you apparently. Everyone in the Elder Scrolls community, everyone knows Uriel Septim dies. And you wanted to kill him the second you saw the man. The second you started talking to him, you wanted to kill Uriel Septim. And I wanted to tell you, I didn't want to spoil it, but I'm biting my tongue here, thinking, just give it 15 minutes. He's not some lifelong travel buddy you gotta take with you across Cyrodiil. Trust me, he will die. His time will come. Just be patient. And even when you saw the scripted event where he dies, you kept going back to a previous save and trying to kill him anyways before the assassins could. You just couldn't contain yourself.
It was Mystic Dawn. That was a surprise to me because the only mission that I've had so far is when you go to the museum in Dawnstar. He has a bunch of Mystic Dawn gear, and it says that he's the last one of the breed. But that was cool. I will say that about Oblivion, but it's I found it easier to play Fallout 3 than it was to play Oblivion.
Fallout's a bit jankier. Like Fallout 3 in particular, it's a pretty janky game.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the on screen display of like your spells, your inventory, and
Like the
everything.
user interface.
Yeah, that I don't like it. I really don't like it. Sorry, James. I don't. I just don't like
How
it.
is it James's favorite Elder Scrolls? And it's so funny because in the friend group, your favorite is Skyrim. You're a basic bitch, but we love you for it. I mean, yeah, I guess it's like the most mainstream popular game, but you just play it differently than how anyone else would play it. So I'll give you props there. Oblivion is James's favorite, which is the most like basic as far as like fantasy goes. It's the like Elder Scrolls takes a lot of inspiration from sci-fi and Lovecraft, and like it's not like it's fantasy, but it has a lot of other influences and different aesthetic choices. Um, especially with Morrowind, which is my personal favorite. But Oblivion's like the most generic ass fantasy game. They like zombies, rats. Like they don't even give them like clever names like in any other titles. They're just like
I
basic.
was it was nitpicked, but at the same time, it has that same feel. Like it's just very basic
It just
because
feels like 70s D&D, where it's not
which is
entirely fleshed out yet.
yeah, it's we gotta play D&D again. We're such fucking nerds.
I love D&D. That was so fun every week, man.
We were tearing it up.
Well, you know what it felt like? You know who we were? We were that brigade from Downfall, or excuse me, Come and See. You know, at the very end, that final act with that brigade they had that was comprised of nothing but like mentally ill patients and released prisoners. So they released out into the wild to just commit atrocities. That's who we were in D&D. Mentally unstable serial killers. That you know what's probably why we don't play D&D anymore.
Yeah, that's probably why.
We can't find a dungeon master who wants to put up with our bullshit.
We thought we did.
Yeah, yeah.
I think when we were talking about Dragon Putang, I think that's what.
Oh, that sealed the deal.
Yeah, that sealed the deal.
Okay. Apparently, I wanted to sexually assault like every character. That wasn't true. It's just that's how I flirt. If I get a little hands on with my approach, so be it. But that's like I'm just trying to get to know the locals.
Yeah, the caveman approach.
I just want to get to know the people. Sorry,
Put him
Mama.
on the spot.
That's probably why we don't play D&D anymore. But yeah, so like Skyrim is the most mainstream and the most popular, uh, and still going strong. It's like GT5, it won't die.
I did see something that Todd Howard said that he really appreciates the community because he's like, this game should have been dead like 4 years ago.
Even he knows. Todd the God is just one hell of a salesman. I'm currently really invested in Starfield. In like 6 days, I think there's going to be a direct, like a Bethesda game direct. I think it's like an Xbox showcase, but like I'm interested in particular at the Bethesda shit. And there's gonna be like a whole like Starfield thing. I'm really looking for it because other than Fallout and Elder Scrolls, and you could say Doom is Bethesda, but
What
Bethesda owns id, and id makes Doom.
was that Obsidian sci-fi game under Bethesda?
Yeah, Outer Worlds.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's Obsidian. Yeah, I'm really excited about Starfield, and I've even been like crafting a character in my mind like months in advance. I think it comes out in November. But it's just funny, like all these Elder Scrolls games, ESO, Skyrim, Oblivion, and I just choose Morrowind. Like none of us have like our favorite Elder Scrolls game, and I think it really shows you the versatility and how just diverse Elder Scrolls as a franchise is.
yeah.
And I think when you play Morrowind, you're gonna love it because it's not like typical European high fantasy. It's like playing on another planet. If you love sci-fi and aliens, this game feels like you're on another planet.
I've played it a little bit and I did not have a good time with it. I was playing it on the OG Xbox with the Duke, and let me say this: I loved the Duke. The controller was not the issue.
No, no.
If we had an audience, they would say something about the Duke.
if we if we had one,
Yeah, Timmy Turner's dad.
yeah. Does he have a name?
Yes, I just can't
It's
remember.
just to be Turner's dad. Um, yeah. So like the Duke, I'm a big fan of chunkier controllers myself because it's so weird. What was your first console growing up? What was your first? Who was your first slug?
64.
Damn, that's better than me. Mine was Dreamcast.
Okay, that's still pretty cool.
Uh,
That's still really
we
cool.
could meet in the middle.
Yeah,
Mine was Dreamcast. The first game I remember ever playing was a Jurassic Park game
I
of
think
the
I know the one.
Dreamcast.
I think I know the one. You didn't play Seaman?
No, I didn't. No, thank God. I think 2-year-old me would be terrified.
My first two was the 64 and the GameCube, but I
That's
would play like Xbox games on the GameCube.
that's pretty good.
Like I say that like playing games on the whatever it is, playing it on PlayStation and Xbox is just objectively better if it's not a Nintendo property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Agreed.
So yeah, I would be playing like Need for Speed on the GameCube. But it was like my favorite. I still have it at the house.
The
It's still one of my
what
favorite GameCube games.
what really sucks looking back is that these consoles rule. And like we want these consoles for ourselves now. Like actively going backwards, trying to get older and older consoles. Like I want the fucking Odyssey, dude. That
I
was not
want
even
the
the con.
Jaguar.
Okay, that's we're about 30 years apart.
Jaguar.
Or even like an original Pong console, like the 70s ones where they're like made out of wood.
That
Like
would be sick.
why everything in the 70s is made out of wood, but it looks really nice. My point is, we keep going back to get these older consoles because when we grew up on them, like the Dreamcast or the GameCube, we were so young. I don't really think we enjoyed them the way we should. Hell, I had a PS1 and I don't remember anything on it. I don't remember any game I had, not a single one, and it sucks because what's that like? I don't remember what it's like to play a PS1.
I have a PS1 at the house. Two. The only one I can't play out of the Sony is the three because I don't have a controller, and the five because don't have the money. But I played a good bit of PS1 games when I bought it.
Right.
Yeah. But I remember playing the PS2 a lot. Like,
Haunted Mansion, man.
yeah, man, I had to get, dude. What's going on with my PS2?
Oh, your PS2's in here.
Yeah,
It's in here. I have to fix the port on because when you lit it to me and gave me Haunted Mansion so I could play it again because it's literally my favorite PS2 game of all. It's literally my top five favorite games of all time. You handed me a defunct console, man. Like the thing's broke. I have to go fix it just so I can play the game you gave me, just so I can give it back to you again
I did.
because I'm still technically borrowing it.
Yeah, I think I got it at like a Goodwill. I did get my original Xbox on at Goodwill. But the only issue with it is that I got to get a paper clip to open the tray. But that
It's part of the charm.
if that's the only issue, I'm pretty happy. You know,
It's part of the experience. Yeah.
it is. I'm a big fan of the original Xbox. I like the boot up screen. I like the menu for the console itself with the green ooze jumping around.
Classic,
Yeah,
man. It's
and
classic.
the Duke is top five controllers for me.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the N64 controller?
See, I never had an issue with it because I just knew, which I didn't see an issue with transitioning between the D-pad and the joystick and the yellow buttons. I never had an issue with that, so I'm like, yeah, I like the controller. It's fine.
Well, they used to be really experimental back in the day because there wasn't a model of controller that was standardized across the industry. But we've had like the same console, excuse me, the same controller layout between like PS4 and Xbox for like the last 20 years. The
Yeah.
only company that's hanging on, like the last vestige of their kind, is Nintendo.
And then they put out the Pro controller, and then that was it. That was it,
That they
man.
gave up, they gave in.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Pro controller. I think it's fine, but switching between handheld and the controller is, for some reason, very funky to me.
Right. But speaking of Elder Scrolls and going on a journey, I went on a journey myself the other week. Actually, it was a few days ago.
Yeah,
Today's what?
it was Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah, today's
I
Wednesday.
remember it like it was a week ago, even though it was less than a week ago.
Yeah, we should have put out something saying that we were going to postpone the episode.
Yeah, I kind of forgot.
We,
I
we
kind of
dropped the ball on that one.
I kind of fell asleep for 12 hours and missed my chance. I so but before I go any further, let me start at the beginning. As all good stories should start. Let's start at the beginning. So I decided to go hiking. I flaked. I'm sorry. I was supposed to go to band practice, but then I go like every week. I go find a place to hike. Well, it's Blood Mountain where that girl got decapitated, or where Cocaine Bear happened, or
It's funny.
wherever. Um, I always try to find like a new hiking trail, but I like to go off the beaten path and find a place where there's not like a lot of people. So I went to Tallulah Gorge, which was pretty busy on this particular day, but there's a path that no one takes. All these people, they stay where the air conditioning is at the in the gift shop, or they go and they look at the actual Tallulah Falls. beautiful waterfalls. They look at like the easy stuff, and they're staying like within like 30 yards of the parking lot. These people aren't hikers. They're not experienced outdoorsmen such as myself. So what I decided to do is I go to a little trail called High Bluff Trail, and it takes you through the jungle, man. I was in the bush, straight up in the bush. There's like shrubbery that's taller than trees out there. Nothing but thorn bushes and tick beds. I wear my badges of honor. I had like 30 ticks up my ass, dude. I was pulling them off my scrotum. It was disgusting. And they were on my armpits. They looked like skin tags. I was pulling them off my body left and right, almost like that Skittles commercial. Just like pull.
Yeah,
It was literally
yeah.
like that Skittles commercial.
That's
I just didn't eat them.
I just wow. There goes Skittles.
I ruined it for you. I'm sorry. I have a habit of ruining things, especially appetites. So I'm on this trail and I get pretty far. I mean, I completed the entire trail, but it took me like 45 minutes to an hour just to get to the aforementioned high bluff that the trail gets its name from. And it gives you a pretty good view of the dam, and it gives you a pretty good view of just like the actual mountains and the waterfalls below. It's the highest point in the park. And while I'm up there, all of a sudden, like I hear a noise and it's immediate. Fighter jets, stealth bombers in the sky. One flies over, and it's like 3 seconds does my ear perceive the sound, and then my eyes see it. It's immediately on me. About, I would say, 100 feet. That's what it looked like. It was like 100 feet of fighter jet flying right over me, and I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool. I don't think I've ever like seen a fighter jet out in the wild. And then a second one appeared, and this is when my mind started working, as I'm thinking, one fighter jet, shame on me. Two fighter jets, it's an apocalyptic event. My mind's okay. There's two fighter jets, and I'm pretty sure 30 minutes ago, when I was in the middle of the woods, I heard gunshots. So there's gunshots, there's fighter jets. We're dealing with an apocalyptic scenario. Which one? So as my mind is working out, what apocalyptic scenario am I going through? Because it's like Shaun of the Dead. He's living his normal life, and there's all these signs. Of course, those are more obvious. But there's all these signs and red flags popping up of what's going on.
Which one would you want
Which one would I?
if you had to pick apocalyptic situation? What would you pick?
Zombies? Is that is
What
that
kind of
boring?
zombies?
Not Left for Two zombies. Not Left for Dead Two zombies at all.
Yo,
And I specified number two over the first one because there's just more zombies in two. There's chargers in there. There's chargers killed me so many times on my runs. But the one my mind settled on as I'm hiking this trail is I see these sinkholes in the dirt, in the sand. And I'm like, of all the apocalyptic events I could have gotten today, it's them. There's giant ants, giant radioactive ants on this mountain in the middle of the woods. I'm fucked. Simple as a pimple. There's ants on this mountain. And so I hightailed it out of there. A trail that normally would take you about 3 hours to do on a slow day, on a slow afternoon, I did it about 2 hours. I hightailed it the hell out of there.
I mean, the best part about that story is even if you were like some kind of army or air force guy who's listening to this who happens to work at that base, I really don't think you could get charged with trespassing because for number one, you didn't even know, and number two, you started wigging out not because you're like, oh wait, this is probably an Air Force base. You wigged out because you thought giant ants were about to come out of the ground.
Well, the reason I know I didn't trespass is because I never deviated from the park path.
Right.
This was the designated trail set aside for hikers. It's just no one hikes it because it's very the thicket and the density of the bushes. It's like literally being in the middle of nowhere. Even though once you get to the high bluff, you can see civilization all around you. But while you're on that trail, it's just thorns and ticks the whole time. What's getting me though is the Air Force was trespassing, technically, if you want to see it that way. Even though I don't think the military can trespass,
Yeah.
it's the military. But they were flying over this trail in particular because they know no one hikes it. And this, folks, is why you hike every trail, especially ones that aren't marked or paved and have no people on them. Those are the safest ones, I'm telling you.
I just want to say I was laughing because he was adjusting his glasses, his sunglasses, and it was just off. And then he put his hand down so confidently, looked at me, and then just knew. It was like, wait a minute.
So I finish up at the park, had a good time, but it was just miserably hot, and that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted just that dead heat that just it sticks to you. It never goes away. I love that shit. Almost like something we'll be talking about very shortly. But
I'm
it's like
so
that
excited.
that sticky, sweaty kind of heat that just like lingers on you and weighs you down. Uh, so after that, I decided to go pick up some checkers, and at this time, I'm still planning on going to the practice with you. And it was so funny is I'm literally 7 minutes away from where this guy's house is, MC's house, and I have to drive by it to go to my house so I can clean up and bathe because I don't think you guys want my sweaty caveman ass over there. So I drive by, I go stop at Checkers, and lo and behold, you know what I hear on the other side?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to order, and you know who answers?
A person?
No, it was not a human person. As a matter of fact, it was no one at all. It was an artificial intelligence that answered that like what. So it says like in a perfectly toned human voice. It's like, "How are you doing today? What can I get for you?" And it took my brain a second to realize it was off because that's how good it was. But I'm like, wait a minute. There's something going on. And as I kept asking, it would repeat sayings, almost like when, like an Alexa or Google doesn't understand your question, it'll repeat it in the same kind of inflection. It almost fooled me, but no, it was an AI on the other side taking my order. And when I pulled up to the window, I was like, "Hey, why do you guys have headsets on?" Because they all have headsets in there. You know what they said? They said, of course you wouldn't know. I haven't told you this part of the story,
No.
but for a fact. You know what they said? I'll tell you what they said. They're like, we have the headsets on not so we can take your order, but so we can laugh at you guys when you do get your order
That's funny.
because they think it's equally as hysterical as I do that there's an AI taking people's orders and they'll listen in on it. And I guess they only really step in and interfere when the AI gets something wrong, like it messes someone's order or messes up like the amount of money that's owed, stuff like that. But for the most part, they're just sitting there laughing, cackling their asses off because an AI took their gerbs, took their damn gerbs.
I was gonna say, if it was just all robots in the place, what if you gave a response to the AI like, "I'm gonna shoot myself," or "This is a robbery."
It gives you like a suicide hotline instead of
It
instead of the
just
sandwich I
connects.
ordered.
It just connects to the suicide hotline through the PA. You're looking at a menu at Checkers while this person on the phone is telling you don't do it.
That's when the people in the headset jump in. The second people are like, I'm gonna do it. Today's the day,
I'm
and
gonna
this
do it, Batman.
in the drive-through of this Checkers. Oh, this reminds me. Like, it's one thing if they take our damn gerbs at a fast food restaurant, but what if they took our gerbs from something as mundane as a slaughterhouse? What would that do to the economy, you think?
The economy would crash. That would become a ghost town.
Especially if that's like the local economy. It's all founded upon a slaughterhouse. In a rural area, it's all farms and agriculture. Imagine if the one place that everyone worked at, almost like Central State here in Georgia, everyone in the local area worked there. So when the place closed down, the psych ward closed down, hundreds of people lost their jobs. And so you go there now, and the place is a crumbled mess. It's in complete ruination. So imagine that in Texas, and the local slaughterhouse closed down. People, well, they'd lose their damn gerbs. And when you lose your damn gerb, you then lose your damn mind. And then, well, then you do what you do in Skyrim. You become a cannibal.
Welcome back to the Sinten.
Unfortunately for you, I'm your host, Chandler Allen Berry, and with me is my very confident and capable co-host.
Slug.
Today, guys, if you've stuck with us this far into the episode, we're going to be talking about Slug's favorite slasher series, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
This was supposed to be my birthday episode, but
Sorry.
I get it. Memorial Day, I get it.
It just fit. War movies.
But today, or was supposed to be Monday, recording, but you're gonna get it when you get it. Anyway, this episode is all about my favorite slasher, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, with the slasher Leatherface.
More of a chop top guy, and he was in war. So
Vietnam.
I guess I still could have fitted in. Is Texas Chainsaw 2 a war film? Yeah. Let's get
Ah,
let's get to the first one first.
boy, howdy. Fucking Toby Hooper is one of my favorite directors, and it really shows a lot of the stuff that I like in horror films in his first movie, and it's just the atmosphere, tension, and it's mean. Not the mean we're gonna get a little bit later, but it's sprinkled in there.
Mm.
When the sliding door comes open, and just bam, just no like no warning, no nothing. Or like in the kitchen with the scene when he comes in running, Leatherface comes in running, and the actor didn't know that he was going to be coming in right then, and that's a genuine reaction.
From Jerry, the guy who played Jerry. Yeah,
Yeah,
because he did it. He personally didn't want to see Gunnar Hansen in the costume. Like this wasn't like a directive from Toby. Like the actor wanted to be in character, and he cared enough to not see Gunnar in costume until that scene, and that's a genuine reaction. You get that's a real scream of terror. This guy barely an inch with a hammer, wearing the skin of people as a mask.
Ugh. But you can understand what I'm saying about there's little sprinkles of just mean horror.
Cruelty
Yeah,
for the
and
sake of it.
speaking of cruelty, the main I wouldn't say meaning or topic.
There's a theme to
There's
the
a
movie.
theme
It's there.
of the meat industry, and we'll get to it later. There is one movie in the series that really hones in this idea, which I absolutely love. But there are slaughterhouses that shut down, and it just fucks up the economy, man. And with this movie, with the brutality and cannibalism and just treating people like cattle, it's kind of pretty clear that this is talking about the meat industry, talking about the environment and ways they take care of the animals in an actual slaughterhouse.
The industrialization of death.
Yes, there you go. That
Like it's one thing to kill something because you need it to survive, because you have to support yourself and your family. That's one thing. But to do it on such a mass scale with no remorse, with no feeling, just do it is it's scary. I've been to real slaughterhouses. I have seen chicken farms and just how cramped they are. And it's a very despicable, mean place where the focus is just on, just like the video game industry. It's like a fucking meat grinder, man. It's all about the finished product. But the amount of lives and blood that's got to be spilt beforehand to get that finished product, that's why we haven't gotten Elder Scrolls 6. But having seen it, the brutality, the cruelty, and just the remorselessness of it all, it's really just gross. And the great thing about this movie is when you apply that, but to people, it's as all great horror should do. It brings up a mirror. It makes you question certain things. Maybe I shouldn't support the meat industry because if it was people that they were doing this to, with that same remorselessness and that same cruelty, well, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So why would I want that to happen on a mass scale? A conveyor belt of death. If the same thing happened to these animals, I wouldn't want that to happen to me.
and
It's a great tool of empathy.
I think I've said it before. I don't eat beef, pork, or really any other red meats like venison or anything like that. But I do eat fish and poultry. But on the other side, my grandpa, he eats beef, pork, he eats everything, but chicken. Because when he was younger, he went to a chicken farm and a slaughterhouse for chicken, and he just after that, he never ate chicken again.
Is your grandpa not the greatest killer that ever lived?
I mean, he's pretty badass, but maybe for another time we could talk about my grandpa.
Everyone's got that one badass grandpa, man, who's really handy with a mallet. You know,
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you're in Texas. But I love how the movie is shot with this atmosphere, this tension, this meanness to it, but also has, a message that I,
you
like
vibe with.
I vibe with. Yeah. So with the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I, for the longest time, had this as my favorite Texas Chainsaw movie, and we'll get to another movie that questions that. But as of right now, it is my favorite Texas Chainsaw movie, but also it's my favorite slasher film.
Do you feel like out of obligation? Just like it's almost not a choice. It
I
just
mean,
speaks to you, and
I'm wearing the shirt, the Johnny Cash flipping off, but instead it's Leatherface.
it's funny how certain movies just pick us.
Yeah, I
And
didn't
this
pick
one,
it.
this one's yours. Like franchises like Hellraiser may speak to you on certain levels, but there's something about this one. It's almost like a spirit animal to you.
Yeah, I don't know, something about on one side you have particular topics about like the problems with industrialization can shut down smaller businesses and ruin small communities and everything. You got the meat industry angle there, and then you got I really like it, this one the absurdity of like yeah it's all fun like thinking about constellations and the zodiac stuff.
Fuck
It's just
Zodiacs. What's your favorite slasher?
yeah, it's fun to it's fun to think that these things like, oh, if Venus is retrograding, this is gonna happen. But I love how it shows that it's everything is meaningless because everything can change so quickly.
Ooh, I like
Yeah,
that.
I like how like yeah, they got some like it's fun to believe in a lot of things, like with our cryptid uh believability list, you could I live somewhere else. But uh I don't know. I really like it's exactly like how you write, and I've said this before. The journey itself is supposed to be stretched out because you want to have these people cared for by the audience. And then when actual shit hits the fan, you're like, I wish I was back there. The from the beginning shot all the way up until they get to the gas station, you just want that again because they're just teenagers in the '70s,
They're
man.
pleasant.
Yeah,
I want to hang out as sweaty as it is. I want to hang out in that van with them.
yeah.
They sound cool. People may argue that Franklin is not, but I'd say Franklin's the best character in the movie. He's the one that hits home the message of the movie because he has like this detachment with the animals he's talking about because they're him and Sally, their was their granddad, right?
Mhm.
Worked at the slaughterhouse, and Franklin has this fond remembrance back on those times with him and his grandpa, and he looks at his grandpa as super cool because he used to slaughter all these animals, and Franklin having this admiration for him also seems to view animals with that same kind of disregard. So when the same thing starts happening to them and him in particular, that's the message of the movie. He's the only one that carries that theme of disregard for animal life, then come back on them.
He was gutted like a pig.
Yeah, it should be also be said that this movie was inspired by Ed Gein, as was Psycho, but
Yes.
this one more than Psycho actually goes further with the whole Ed Gein concept a little bit more.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't a cannibal.
No,
But he did make a suit out of women's skin, and that's the face that Leatherface has because he's also I guess he's trans. I guess Leatherface is a trans slasher.
He does slay.
Yeah,
Is Leatherface a trans icon? Only in the New Beginning. No, excuse me, New Generation.
a new generation. Yes,
In New Generation,
like
yes.
it doesn't just like okay. We'll get to it. We'll get to
There's
it.
so much to talk about with this series.
But yeah, our trans icon.
Well, making lampshades out of human skin. But I think the most important thing, what the movie opens on, is grave robbery.
Mhm.
Because Nubbins, who isn't named till the second movie, so he's just called the hitchhiker in this one. He's digging up bodies, and I gotta say, the opening of this movie is one of the most iconic, one of the best. It's great. I almost can't really describe it because there's really no other entrance like it. So it starts with this weird red filter. First off, it's talking about August 18th. Uh, Trouble befell these five youths, and it's like
It's so good.
the narration and to go into this red filter. It looks like the sun, like it looks like a star.
Hmm.
And I tried looking it up and doing research. I can't figure out what we're actually looking at here, but it looks like solar flares or like those tendrils that come off the sun, but like with this red filter over it. I can't tell. I really don't know, but it looks like a star, which plays into the whole retrograding of Venus and like the solar system and the zodiac. There's some cosmic mechanism at work here, but it's really not. So it starts off with this red filter. You get the narration, and then there's this guy on the radio. And I read the script, and the script is, funnily enough, nondescript about it. In the script, Toby just says radio talks about like various very vague happenings, and they're all bad. So in the radio at the start of the movie, it's just a guy listing off every tragedy. Again, no emotion, no disregard, or excuse me, no regard for life. It's just one bad event to the next event, talking about it with absolutely no emotion whatsoever. Again, playing into that theme of this careless universe.
Yeah.
Uh, and then we open up on the infamous shot of the body that's been dug up by Nubbins. The effect work on point. Mwah, chef's kiss times two.
It
Looks
holds
great.
up.
It really does. It looks. It just looks gross and sweaty, and that grain on the film also enhances everything about it.
I think I don't. This is shit talk, but not because I don't like it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I think the only thing that doesn't hold up is Leatherface's mask.
Which part?
The beginning, the beginning part, or like when he's first introduced, before he's got the makeup and everything on. Because at that point, I kind of just like I'm already invested. It's already fun. We're having a good time, you know. So I can kind of look past it. But my only complaint about the movie is the quality of the mask. But it's only like it's a me problem because it's like yes, this is my favorite slasher film and the start of my favorite franchise. But it's the '70s, man.
I think it looks good. I have no complaints. Even the pacing. People complain about the
Oh, the
pacing.
pacing's fine. I
Yeah.
like slow burn movies if it's done right, and they do it really well. Because like the very beginning, I think it's like the first 15 minutes of the film is just of the car ride.
It's not, to me. It narratively the story has a good beginning, middle, and end. There's never a point where I'm bored because the trouble with pacing in movies is when it doesn't serve a purpose.
Right.
Everything serves a purpose.
I think three has some pacing things, but we'll get to it.
Hmm. This one I think is perfectly paced. Everything happens for a reason. Um, the theming, it's the only one where I'd say there's an actual theme and some inherent value in what the movie's trying to say. And Toby himself would just ditch it the second to the second one, fucking Breakfast Club.
I think I said it for the Hellraiser episode, but I'll say it again. Um, if we're just judging within the franchise, I can give a movie a 10 because it did everything right for the best of this franchise. And I said that Hellbound Heart has a 10. because I think it's the perfect sequel and the effects and everything. And if you really want me to go in more detail, listen to the Hellraiser episode. But I would give the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre a 10 because I think not only is it a really good horror movie, but a perfect Texas Chainsaw movie. And that's just kind of the typical. I think I'm the weird guy who puts Hellbound Heart in first place, but that's just me, you know? Uh, I I would just say it's the most perfect film for this franchise. Like, to if you really want to, it gets the ball going. It establishes some lore, not heavy lore, like in the remakes that I love so much. But we do get lore. We get introduced to Leatherface, and this is a really good back and forth. And I really feel like a point I'll get to about two or three. Three is that um, the events of the first movie changes Leatherface, at least in my head canon, in terms of because he's essentially a child. He's
Mhm.
like it has a brain of an 8 year old, you know. But I really think the events of the first movie and the fact that Sally ran away and seeing the effect of that happening on his family, I think it kind of like flipped a switch in him and was able to mature. And I think that's why he's a totally different character in three. Or, yeah, three.
There's also another carryover from the first movie, 2, 3. Physically,
With
is the
the
leg brace.
yeah,
So let's get into a few like production notes about the first movie. The conditions are horrendous. Not quite apocalypse now bad, but
dude.
especially in the dinner scene, it got up to 120 degrees in there, and they were passing out. People were vomiting. Gunnar Hansen in particular had it really bad because he's wearing a black suit in full get up and garb in the middle of the Texas heat. This guy was it was so bad. It was even I don't know if it was worse, but it was really bad for the guy who played Grandpa too.
Yes, because he had like pounds of makeup on him.
And when they would take off like his boots or whatever, or like pieces of his clothing or his costume, water would pour out of it. Almost like with
Wow.
Ted, like Ted Raimi in Evil Dead 2. I don't know if you've seen behind the scenes, but when they would take off like the costume, water would just pour out of it. It's all sweat, all of it's sweat. And the guy who played Grandpa, he was permanently scarred with all the makeup they had on because it was glued. Funny side note: the guy who did all the practical effects in specifically the makeup department, the guy who was into the makeup department was he wasn't a specialist in that field. He wasn't a cosmetologist.
No.
Uh, he did what was it? He was a
Plastic surgery.
plastic surgery. He was a I was thinking of a more professional term. Yeah, he fucked people up for a living. So uh, especially
Plastic surgeon, maybe.
uh, he was a plastic surgeon,
Right.
and so it's funny that he's the guy doing the makeup on this guy, this poor kid, and just like a real plastic surgeon, he fucked his face up for good. I don't know. I've seen interviews with him. I've seen like documentaries with this guy. He looks fine, but I'm sure if you did like close-ups on his face, you'd see a bit of scarring. But that's a funny little side note. They did a plastic surgeon as the makeup specialist.
God, I hope I don't have to use glue.
They should have glued it to his face. I'd
For
be
for our
terrified.
movie, I mean, I I think everybody knows what we're working on at this point. But what they don't know is we got something else going on, but we'll not talk about it right now.
Yeah.
But for with your movie, I am so nervous.
I'm not gonna put glue on your face. You're the
I would
makeup
I would
guy.
have to glue it to my
It's
own face. But
yeah.
what I'm saying
I'm
is,
not legally liable for what happened to you.
I'm uh I'm worried about what material we're gonna get and how it works with the Georgia heat. I mean, it's not gonna be as bad as Texas, but
Still be pretty bad.
hmm
And that's the thing. Part of the movie we're going to be making, I want the behind the scenes to be as interesting as Texas. So I will go out of my way to make horrendous conditions for everybody. I will go out of my way to make sure this movie is not fun.
it's gonna be a great movie. I think if it's executed and I can pull this out of my ass, it's gonna It's gonna be huge. It's gonna do numbers.
That's gonna be great. Oh, I couldn't. How did I pull off a Trump impersonation
Dude,
last
you did it
episode?
so perfect,
I
man.
couldn't do that again if I tried. Speaking of pulling something out of your ass. Ah. So yeah, I had another joke there.
Transition.
I, I had another joke there about pulling stuff out of my ass, but I'm gonna keep it rolling. Talk about something that really matters.
The first Texas Chainsaw.
I mean, yeah, it's really important. It creates the first final girl in Sally Hardesty.
Hmm.
That's what people say. As far as slashers goes, Leatherface, other than Norman Bates, is considered like the first slasher.
I don't know. I think Black Christmas should still be in the conversation, but I don't remember when it came out.
73, 74, in that time frame. A lot of people say he's the first. Um, and people say Norman. Norman's not really.
I could see where they're coming from,
He's definitely
and a
not a
part
Universal
of
monster.
me. Oh God, no. Or Jaws, or excuse me, Bruce. I could see where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's just too easy. I want to find something more obscure, and I feel like Black Christmas isn't obscure anymore, but like in terms of like, I imagine like after Leatherface, and then you had Halloween, and then you had uh, uh, Freddy Krueger or Jason. People were like, okay, so these are slashers, not thrashers, slashers.
I wish the Thrashers were back.
Uh, but then not include Black Christmas because I don't know, they just
Well,
probably
he's
didn't
just a
see it.
guy.
Yeah.
He's not as interesting. Like it doesn't have the same flair of an Alfred Hitchcock production. And it's not as he's not really there. Like you hear his voice, you see him in shadows, but he doesn't have this presence that like Michael Myers or Leatherface. Leatherface literally is this bumbling 8-year-old idiot that wields a chainsaw and wears a mask made out of human flesh.
That's scary.
That's scary, but it's marketable. You can slap that on a poster.
A
Yeah, slap it
T-shirt,
on a T-shirt. Make a plushie out of it.
a pop figure.
Yeah, yeah, like the one you got for your birthday.
No, it wasn't for my birthday.
What was it?
I got two Eddie um Iron Maiden pop figures, but she just got it for me.
You get so many just random presents. What the hell is that about? This guy gets so many gifts.
Spoiled.
You are spoiled. You're a spoiled asshole, and we love you for it. I'm gonna steal that Eddie figure from you though.
Do you even know which ones I have?
Why did that come off as a brag? That was just, like the way he said it. Like I understand the point of the question, but the way he said it, like, do you even know what pop figures I have?
What did you get for your birthday?
I got the two Eddie pop figures. I got a Texas Chainsaw shirt, another one. I got a Black Sabbath shirt, and I got a Mac Miller shirt. And she got me Midnight's first album on record.
That's a damn good birthday.
Yeah.
Good God, man.
Oh yeah, and hot fries.
Is that the best part of the night?
No, that was not the best part of the night, but I will say it's either the Mac Miller shirt or the vinyl she got me that's my favorite.
The mandolin I got, is that considered a belated birthday present?
Yes.
Okay. We'll add the mandolin in there. So speaking of folk, back on track.
Leather Texas Chainsaw is folk horror.
It is folk horror. And when I think of folk horror, I think of stuff like The Ritual or Children of the Corn.
Its sequels aren't good.
Uh, no, but like it's all 14 of them. Currently, I think Children of the Corn is competing with Amityville Horror to see which one can pump out the most terrible sequels.
I don't
But
know. I got hope for movie timelines. Put
oh,
it
it
in the
looks bad.
grave.
You saw the trailer, right?
Yeah, it looks pretty. It looks fun.
It's fun, yeah. I think in our field of expertise, saying something is bad is it equals fun.
Yeah,
This one, I wouldn't say like Texas Chainsaw is a fun movie. I've seen it like six
it
times.
is for me.
It's fun.
It is a very fun movie.
I don't think it's
Almost
trying
all
to
of
be.
them.
I don't think it's trying to be.
And the only one that's supposed to be fun, I'm not. I don't have fun with is two.
You ready?
I want to say, I for the longest time I thought Chop Top and the Hitchhiker were the same
Me
actor.
too. I thought he got the plate in his head. I thought he got when the truck ran him over. I thought it was the same guy too. But I mean, if you watch the movie, it's very clearly two different characters. But it's weird. We had like the same headcanon and
Yeah,
Nubbins and Chop Top were the same guy.
in some timeline, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But if you're ready, we can move on to, I think, my least favorite Texas Chainsaw movie.
Go ahead. Take it away, buddy.
Okay, so before you even start the movie, if you look at the VHS cover, it's just the Breakfast Club.
It's literally the Breakfast Club. We went to Days of the Dead, and they were still selling posters of Texas Chainsaw 2 at the Bill Moseley table.
Yeah,
They're still selling those stupid Breakfast Club posters.
I mean, I get it. It's funny, but that's not what I would have wanted from a direct sequel from the director of the original
Well,
film.
keep in mind, it was almost a decade later, and Toby Hooper was making fun of a genre you could say he started.
Mhm.
Yeah, you got Black Christmas. Yeah, you got movies like Psycho. But I mean, I'd say Texas Chainsaw really kicked off that craze, that slasher craze.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that the seven. I mean, would I have Michael Myers without Leatherface? It's debatable. I think I still would, but
I'm only laughing because of the statement, and not because if it's factual or not. I'm just laughing because of what just came out of your mouth.
I mean, it's an interesting thing to tackle. Like, how much would have changed if Leatherface had come on the scene? Like, if Toby Hooper didn't make that movie, how much changes in the landscape of horror?
I
I'll
would,
give it to you. It's a very important movie.
I would probably say Hellraiser would be my favorite series then, because I don't really see Halloween, or excuse me, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, the Hatchet guy,
Victor
um,
Crowley.
Victor Crowley, or like those guys. I don't know, something about having like I love the movies just fine, but like having an extra layer of theme.
Yes. There's a reason behind it all.
Yeah, so like I would say Hellraiser's in my top five, but I don't think it's number two. But at the same time, I feel like it would fill the slot of Texas Chainsaw because of its themes.
That's an interesting question to ask yourself. Is if Texas doesn't exist, not the state, I mean the movie franchise,
I mean, we
how much
fought a lot to keep that state. I'm just saying, show it some
they
respect.
technically were an independent country
Yeah,
before the United States got involved.
we're always the bad guy.
Always, the Union's always the bad guy in every war. Ain't that crazy? That's what they would say in Texas. That's not what we say here at the Send-In.
What would you say would be your favorite slasher franchise if Halloween never existed?
If it wasn't Halloween, there's a part of me that wants to say Child's Play. Like,
Don't look at her. Don't look at her. That's a very valid choice.
she's looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, that's not like a really good option. Okay, Willow, what would you say? First off, what's your favorite slasher? And secondly, if that slasher didn't exist, who would fill that role?
You said Freddy was your favorite, right?
You're a Freddy girl?
No. Who is my favorite slasher?
You told me it was Freddy.
At first, but now it's not funny.
We haven't had this conversation.
We haven't had this conversation.
So
Answer the question.
I want to say.
No.
Oh, fuck, he's got a gun.
Oh fuck!
It's-
He's got a gun.
I
Answer
don't
the
know.
question.
I think the only valid, like, response to that is like the Friday the 13th franchise, because I've seen more movies than I've seen out of like all the other franchises for all the other slashers. I don't know, and I don't want to be basic and say like Ghostface, but I haven't even seen like I've only seen two of the fucking movies, the fifth one and the sixth one.
I mean,
Those are pretty good.
yeah.
Pretty good choices. Critics be damned.
Jason's my favorite slasher, I would say.
Wow, that's really cool. I mean, you gotta put respect on the man's name. He's the poster child
For slashers, yeah.
for slashers for sure. Leatherface, I don't think nearly gets as much
I don't
respect
think
as
he's
he
top
deserves.
five.
No, he's like on a poster of all the slashers. He'll be on there, but he won't be forefront like Jason or Freddy or Michael Myers. I mean, that's the Trinity right there. If we're gonna
Yeah.
talk slashers. Uh, Leatherface, though, by the second movie, and this is the thing that you don't like about the second movie, Toby is making fun of the genre that he helped create.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I really dig it. I love the opening with Nubbin's corpse.
Yeah.
That's just so cool. The guy's sunglasses in the opening scene. I always wanted his sunglasses. I thought they were
Just
just
what? Oh yeah, it's not the 3D glasses. I was thinking of the Blob.
your mind always goes back to the Blob,
I mean, it was my first sci-fi film.
and that might come back up later next week. Da, da, da. So iconic opening scene, just like the first one, but it's funnier, it's goofier, everything's ramped up to 10, and I don't buy for a second that this family has taken over this amusement park, this Texas Alamo themed amusement park. But I will say that I think this one, for me personally, I feel like just it's Texas.
Yeah,
This is like the barbecue,
like
this
Cook
out,
wins the chili off.
yeah, the chili off. It just feels like a Texas movie. It's like the most
Oklahoma
Texas.
versus Texas, like the football game.
It just feels like this is like the most Texas feeling movie. Like the first one definitely has it with the atmosphere and just how hot it is. You can tell how hot it is. Atmospherically, the first one it just feels like a southern movie. This one it feels like Texas, but to the upteenth degree.
Yeah,
It's just all the tropes and all the things you think of when you think of Texas. They do it. To,
fucking Lefty man.
he's the he's fucking awesome.
You're who you harnessed for the promo.
And by the way, the promo we did was like not scripted. None of the promos we do are really scripted. It's just, hey, won't this be cool? This though, we didn't have any dialogue planned. Really, it was just like this is certain beats we're gonna hit. So here's behind the scenes, folks. Uh, we did it in 3 takes, and 2 shots made it in. Meaning we had 1 take we did not use.
Yeah,
We did it that second take we did. Excuse me, the last take where you come in, you can barely see it, but you're wearing the Leatherface costume and you're sitting down the VHS and you're sitting down the movies. Um, that was all in 1 take,
yeah.
all in 1 take. And for whatever reason, I decided to harness Lefty as my spirit animal in that moment.
Tear it all down.
But the fact he goes to a fucking chainsaw store, like it's just cool.
He buys 3.
He's just he is the Lord of the Harvest and he has come to reap. That guy is so cool. I love him. It's that's the shame about this franchise. There's not enough repeat characters. Like you'll get Chop Top or you'll get Matthew McConaughey. I mean, it always goes back to Leatherface, and I get it. He's the poster child for the franchise. But you got other than the cook and Leatherface, I'm trying to think of a character who came back for another movie.
Sally, she was in 3 of the movies.
As
I
we
know
like to
my
say.
stuff.
We'll get
I
here.
know my stuff.
We'll
You
get
know,
here. We'll get there.
we'll get
As
to
we
the
like to
other
say.
2 movies.
Because it's Sally, but it's she's kind of like a side note. She's not even in the equation. But
When her first reappearance is just a didn't need to be in the movie,
no,
and then when she showed up in her second or third time coming back, or second time coming back, the potential's just wasted.
yeah, and we'll get to why that is. But it just bothers me that great characters like Chop Top or Lefty are just not seen again. Hell, we even see Stretch again.
Yeah, literally the next
The
movie.
next movie we see Stretch, and I'd like to say they're the same character, but that
She's
wouldn't make any
also
sense.
in Hatchet and also in Sharknado.
In a Texas theme, isn't it like a chainsaw store?
Hmm.
Of
And
course.
there's people in there called like Mosley and you said it earlier. Uh, uh
There's so many details. We don't write notes.
Leatherface's actor's name.
Gunnar Hansen?
Yeah,
His name
one's
like
name Gunner.
oh, a fact I should have said about the first movie before we continue. Here's the thing about Gunner, because there's like one thing else I wanted to remember, but of course we don't write this stuff down. We just kind of wing it. The thing about Gunner that really is disheartening is I watched a doc. I watched like one night. I watched like three documentaries about the making of Texas Chainsaw. So there's a lot more facts I could probably say about it, but for the sake of time, which is funny because I'm killing time as I talk right now. But the thing about Gunner is it kind of hurts him that that's what he'll be known for is the role of Leatherface. The fact that they'll probably just on his tombstone. He's like they'll probably just put Leatherface, and they'll all. It doesn't matter if he does Broadway. It doesn't matter. Like Ed who played the hitchhiker Nubbins. He went on to go do like specials on TV and did comedy. He was in like a comedy troupe, and he traveled around and did Broadway shows. Like he did more stuff, and he'll probably be remembered as the hitchhiker more than anything. But he diversified and got outside his comfort zone and wasn't typecast. But someone like Gunnar Hansen, he's going to be typecast.
Yeah.
And
Bigger guys are like that, man.
yeah, I mean, people like Kane Hodder really make that their whole thing, and they're
He
okay with
plays
it.
slashers.
Yeah,
That's what he does.
he's just a big, intimidating, scary guy. And Gunnar Hansen didn't want to be typecast that way. That's not really what he wanted to be known for. And so you can tell in the interview he's doing for that documentary, and this is only a 10, 15 years after the movie was released. And even then, you can tell it really bothers him because he also thinks that when he goes out in public, he's had so many people come up to him and blame him for what's wrong with the world. All the evil in the world, somehow his fault because he played a slasher in a horror movie. And it bothers him because he knows he's going to go outside and he's going to get shit because someone thinks he's responsible for all the death and evil in the world. And that's a horrible thing to feel responsible for. But at the same time, it's not warranted. As a horror fan, we love Gunn and his performance.
Mhm.
He is Leatherface to us. And I'll tell you,
He's the best.
the Leatherface in 2 does not feel like Leatherface.
Mhm.
None of the characters really feel like themselves. Even the cook is even kookier and crazier than he was. And then you got Chop Top, who I love Chop Top, don't get me wrong. But they just feel wackier and less grounded than they were in the first movie.
I like Chop Top. I like his vibe. I like how he dresses.
I love Bill. Bill Mosley. I love him.
He was cool.
Yeah.
I got to shake his hand.
I think I overstepped because it didn't even occur to me that I should have boundaries with these people
Right.
because of just how approachable they are. So I straight up just wrapped my arm around this guy, pulled him in for a hug, and I was like, "Hey, when's All American Massacre coming out?" As if he hasn't heard that 3,000 times before. Every day on a daily basis, every time he checks his like inbox or his voicemail, I'm sure it's always, "Hey, how's Buckethead doing? Hey, where's All American Massacre?" Because to think about it, Buckethead's probably more remembered for his role in a movie that never released than he is for his avant-garde music.
Dude, it was going to be Bill Mosley reprising Chop Top, Buckethead as Leatherface, and Toby Hooper's kid was directing the movie.
It's a shame. The website's still up, too, advertising it. Does that mean they're still paying for the domain name?
Yes.
Why would they keep... Think about
In
that.
hope.
In hope?
Yes.
As if they can't make the movie. They can make that movie.
Was it even finished? Do we know?
Yeah, it was essentially done. They just had to go into post-production, but the post-production on the film never happened. So it just never happened. It's a shame, but Bill Mosley as Chopped Up is iconic, and he kind of channels some of that energy for some of the Rob Zombie pictures he was in, but it's never quite the same. It's never quite the same.
We will have a Rob Zombie episode.
Hell, even in this episode, I'm gonna be talking about it because some of these movies kind of channel Rob Zombie energy.
Yes. I love his movies. I haven't seen one I didn't like. I even like the sequel to his Halloween remake.
I like it too. Have you seen 31 with the little person that's also a dwarf? That's what is he? He's a Nazi clown. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Nazi clown.
I'll definitely have for the when we actually do the movie part of our Rob Zombie special.
Yeah, that's great. Richard Briggs in it is Doomhead, and the whole thing with Rob Zombie was Rob Zombie wanted Doomhead to be like this new horror icon, and to me he is. But Rob Zombie rarely does like franchises with his movies. Like you get like The Devil's Rejects and Three from Hell, and then you get the sequel to Halloween. But if if there's a sequel I wanted to any of his movies, it'd definitely be 31.
Would it be called 32?
Well, it's called 31 for a reason
Yeah,
because
I imagine.
it takes place on Halloween,
Yeah,
and there's
but
not a
the 11 11 11 for the sequel they did 12 12 12, and then for the sequel to that one they did 13 13 13, even though there isn't 13 months in a year.
well, that's a bad series. That sucks.
I
31
haven't
was
even
good.
seen one of
Me neither. I just know. Okay, maybe we shouldn't be so rash and jump to conclusions
them.
because
We'll do a bonus episode on 11 11 11.
sure,
Yeah.
I jumped to conclusions with New Generation because I think everyone already thinks of it as being like the worst. But we'll get to that. But with two, I love
No,
two, but you don't.
I think that 2 is the worst Texas Chainsaw movie.
We'll rank these because I'm a bit unsure about my placement on this one because I really
These
like
two
it.
are just easy for me
Yeah.
because they're it's the best and the worst for me.
So you ready to talk about three?
Uh, I think Chop Top lived. I'm pretty sure. Like,
Oh, when he fell down the chute.
yeah,
Yeah, he could have lived.
he could have.
Look,
My headcanon is that he did.
the way they film it is they make it very possible for him to come back. It's not like Nubbins getting run over.
Yeah, that's it.
Because even then, I thought, oh, he lived and became chopped up. But no, in this, it's like if I thought Nubbins lived in the first movie, I think Chop Top can live through the second one. But dude, Lefty putting the chainsaw through Leatherface's gut, and just every line of dialogue that came out of his mouth, and then the fucking cook pulling out a grenade.
Hmm.
It's so over the top. It's
And
great.
he's asking Nubbins, "Where'd you hide it? Where'd you hide the grenade?"
He pulls out a grenade, and then Lefty stabs Leatherface, and then Leatherface drops his chainsaw, and it goes through the table and gets the cook. It's
It
it's
I
perfection.
though the that whole scene with the cook under the table, I want to believe that there was no script for what he said because it's like cohesive with the storytelling, but it's still fucking crazy.
Even in the first one, Jim Saito would improvise like the whole "Look what you did at the door! Look what you did at the door!" And that whole scene that was not scripted. Toby Hooper had like a lot of stuff that wasn't in the script because even in the original script of that movie, it wasn't an armadillo; it was a dead dog, and they couldn't find a dead dog, so they're looking for it. Then they found a dead horse, but because it's the this heat in the middle of Texas in the middle of summer, no one in the production of the movie wanted to get like 50 yards close to that horse because it's all bloated and gross and filled with maggots. And so they found some roadkill of an armadillo, and one of the prop guys turned it into taxidermied it, and then they used that for the movie, which is weird because you found roadkill, but you found it what too vulgar, too crass to use a real dead animal, so you taxidermied it. It's still a dead animal. It's just
Yeah,
prettied up.
just because you put glitter on shit doesn't make it better. It's just glittery shit.
It's still shit. Yeah, well said. That's so like there's a lot of parts of the first movie that improvise, and I kind of hope that same is true for the second one.
I think that's my metaphor for how I feel about Texas Chainsaw 2.
I don't think it's shit.
I
I
think it's
don't.
glittery shit because at my third time watching it, I came around a little bit more about it. But overall, I think it's the worst film in the series.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've seen the first one 4 times. I've seen this one three times now, and I just it gets better, just not doesn't meet second to last place for me.
Mm.
It got better, just not by much.
If you watch
Maybe,
something enough times, you'll find things you like about
yeah, probably by my fifth time, I'm gonna say that it's better than 3 or 4.
it. But if you have to do a ranking, it's still gonna be low.
Yeah,
It's like even if you loved all these movies 10 times more than you did, something's gonna have to fit the bill for last place.
yeah, and that's what I really feel about when we did the Scream movies. Putting the fourth movie in last place isn't bad because it's still a really good movie.
And everyone knows if you're not first, you're last.
You're gonna get the episode.
If you get the reference, you'll know what movie we're gonna talk about later.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. It's last place. Somebody's got to be last place, and I don't feel bad for putting two in it.
Alright. So let's move on to three.
This was my first time watching this film.
It's got our boy Viggo Mortensen, aka Strider, aka Aragorn, aka King Elisar. I love him in this. Is he the best in it? Probably not. He's not. He's not as charismatic or carries the movie in the same way Matthew does in the next film. But I really appreciate having a big name actor like Viggo Mortensen in this. Uh, I don't know how familiar you are with his filmography, but I'm a big fan of Viggo.
I'm a big fan of the guy from Day of the Dead, the black guy.
Yeah,
Yep.
got Benny.
Betty. Yeah.
There's a few people in here. There's the little girl that played the psychic girl from New Blood, Friday Part 7. She plays
I
the
skipped
little.
around in that one.
It's fair, but like the little girl from Friday Part 7, she is in this. Is the little girl in the family? I mean, Hell Stretch was
Leatherface's
back.
kid.
Love it. I'm. There's an
I
implication there.
yeah. I
It,
didn't know it was gonna like I've okay, so sorry to cut you off, but I think this is a good point. Like how we would talk about how for me I've seen almost everything from The Shining. I know everything that happens almost verbatim, but I've never seen the movie. This is kind of how I was about this movie. And so when I actually saw this scene where it's like the first implication where like the talking point, this is the implication, I didn't know it got worse. Where the mom is even like, that dick is good.
it's so gross.
It's mean.
It's gross and it's filthy. And I don't know what it is. There's always like I don't know. Like Vigo isn't. I don't think he's as good looking as Matthew McConaughey.
No.
Look, I fly straight as an arrow, buddy. But Vigo, he's a good looking guy. There's always in every one of these movies. There's like the one guy who just does not belong.
I really liked how Cowboy had his nails painted after after the whole scene at the gas station.
Hmm.
When I first saw it, I was like, it's probably the lighting. And then there was a scene where he's literally like this, and then I was like, look at that.
You like that?
Yeah, I really think it's a very interesting choice for the character to do that when he was portrayed as this bad boy, this strong cowboy desperado guy, and then he's got his nails painted. And I'm like, yeah, it's the same energy with when you see like metalheads with painted nails. It's just
Like
an
you?
accessory. Yeah,
Like you?
it's an accessory. You know.
Well, it's there's a whole theme that not just with the whole slaughterhouse from the first movie, but there's also this pervasive theme throughout all of the movies about people changing things about themselves to fit a certain role. And this is usually applied to Leatherface, and especially in later movie. The next movie, Leatherface is definitely fitting a role there. But in this movie,
Our trans icon.
yeah, one thing I appreciate about Leatherface in this third one is the continuity. So the leg brace he's wearing, he gets from in the first movie, because Leatherface falls and the chainsaw comes down his leg. Now here's a note. Originally, what Hunter wanted to do, excuse me, Gunner, what Gunner Hansen wanted to do. What?
You're so good. I just thought about the penguin from Adventure Time.
Gunther?
Yeah.
Gunnar Hansen, not Gunther the Penguin, aka Orgalorg himself. Gunnar wanted to when the chainsaw fell on his leg.
Can I say one more thing? You know what I just thought about? You know how Budweiser came out with that one like commercial or whatever it was about supporting the LGBT community? I thought about Leatherface being a trans icon, and I wonder if people would be like, "That's not my Leatherface," just making it a whole fucking big deal.
Kind of like how with the Hellraiser remake, everybody was pissed that there was a gay character. But if you understand Hellraiser, that's perfect. That's more Hellraiser than the original.
Or the fact that the Hell Priest was a woman.
Yeah,
Read the book.
or even Clive Barker being gay.
I
You
think
know?
that's the most important part about it.
Okay, we're
But
gonna.
when the chainsaw fell on his leg, initially it was going to be
All right, break time.
in the in between time between takes. Apparently, Slug here has increased his lock picking skills in Skyrim. Good to note. Good to note. So back to what I was trying to say about Gunnar Hansen's leg was when the chainsaw falls down, he's wearing this Kevlar on his leg.
Mhm.
And well, it's not. It's like a material designed specifically for lumberjacks and people dealing with chainsaws, so they don't cut themselves. It still can be very dangerous. And you can still hurt yourself, but it's it's like a bulletproof vest in a way. It's like you're still gonna get hurt, but you're probably not gonna die. And then below that, or excuse me, above that, you had like packets of meat, and above that there was like packets of blood.
Blood
So when the
packet.
chainsaw came down, it would go through the blood packet and then the raw meat, and it would probably hit that Kevlar material. Um, and so when that comes down, that's what's happening. I really like that scene. So
It hit his leg. It like legit, like
yeah, it
he got
was
hurt on set.
a lot. There was a lot of injuries on set.
Like, dude, like I would be more pissed on the fact that I set up all these different layers for this great shot and it just hits my leg, my actual leg, more than the fact that it hit my leg.
The scene where Sally goes to the front door, and then has to run around the building. When Leatherface comes in the shot, the angle he's going at, he almost broke his ankle. So you see him, and so they had to do a few other takes. So when he slides into view, he does this weird thing with his leg because he's trying not to twist his ankle again. So on the rewatch, it's just something to know. It's one of those
Oof.
movies you watch like 100 times, you'll keep noticing little details. So when he slides into view, his ankle's twisted. So he moves kind of funny in that scene. Anyways, the reason I bring up the chainsaw scene hitting his leg, because in this movie, he's wearing a leg brace, which is a great callback and how you know this movie is not connected to 2. Because in 2, he did not have a leg brace. And in 2, he also got stabbed in the gut with a chainsaw.
I think he would have like a chest brace and a leg brace with like heavy padding under his stomach.
Why is there always one character obsessed with technology? There's like one character, not just you have like the hunk, like the good looking guy who has people drop their guards because he's so handsome. There's also the guy who's just for some reason is like really into technology in the family. Like with Nubbins, like that's kind of the role these other people would fill is like the kind of the hitchhiker role, like with Matthew in the next one where he's like the techno guy, but he's also like the hunk and the hitchhiker all rolled into one character. Uh, with this guy, what's his name? Alfredo? Is he named after food? It's so weird. It's so weird.
I don't know. I like I said, it was the first time watching it. I definitely want to rewatch it. But my one complaint, and I think it's not the movie's fault, but I think probably the worst thing about the film is the fact that it always feels like you're missing a shot.
Yeah, the this movie was torn apart. Speaking of like Friday Part 7 in particular, that movie was, pardon the pun, completely gutted upon release. So the movie would have been given an X rating. Did it deserve it? No. That movie did not deserve an X rating, especially when you compare it to its contemporaries at the time, which were far more violent, far more gory. They
More
did
nudity. Like
far,
we haven't even
yeah,
mentioned that yet. It's only until 4 we get nudity.
and even then, it's still pretty tame.
Yeah, it's just side boob.
There's almost no blood in the first Texas movie, but all that to say, for whatever reason, in like the late '80s, early '90s, they started really cracking down on these kinds of movies. I mean, you go
Video nasties.
the video nasties, which is a British thing. But yeah, they're like really cracking down because throughout the entire '80s, you have all these exploitation films. Some of them, some of these movies you've never heard of have some of the craziest special effects you've ever seen. Some of the craziest gore, some of the craziest kills. You got Greg Nicotero out there. Actually, he worked on this movie, by the way. He worked on 3. Greg Nicotero worked on
Wow.
this. You have people like Tom Savini. I mean, you have the greats just at the peak of their craft working on these films. And for whatever reason, late 80s, early 90s comes around, and they really start cracking down on these guys and being like, we will give this movie an X rating. You will not be able to show this in theaters.
Kind of like, not to the same degree, but music was starting to get that. I think it was a
Mhm.
little earlier though, but thank God for Twisted Sister. Am I right?
Amen, amen, brother. Yeah, it's weird. Almost like the Comic Code Authority from the 50s. It's like every decade, people are like, this is the problem of society. Instead of fixing real societal issues like homelessness or what have you, or like, how about maybe if housing was more affordable, maybe people could, live in a house and not in the street.
No, the problem is comic books.
It's comic books. Is your son gay? It's comic books. Does your son vote left? Comic books.
Is he a Satanist? Comic
Comic
books.
books. Well, in the 80s, that would have been because
Yeah.
that was the Satanic Panic, so it would have been movies like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because of the occultism. Remember Nubbins? He burnt that picture of them in the bucket, and then he's smearing weird blood symbols on the van. So that you got this thing about retrograding grading planets, this cosmology, but then you also got like the occultism with Nubbins, whatever he's trying to do, uh, which is really cool. But in this movie, is there a theme? There's no occultism. There's no higher message. Is it just stranger danger? Don't go to Texas.
Don't go to Texas.
Is
That's
that
the
is just
message.
like if you're in Jaws, just don't go in the water.
Yeah.
Just don't go to Texas.
Yeah, it's lacking on the theme department. It kind of just happens. And even that said, there are some good scenes, and they did change it up by having an extended run through the woods, which I mentioned talking about pacing earlier. It's too much woods, man. Like,
It's like The Walking Dead. 99% of it's shot in the woods with absolutely no setting or locale. It's just the woods.
I mean, I get it. I really appreciate the difference in environment, but then it becomes a trope for the series. And it also, and its first time doing it in three, it's just too long. Like we get it. They're running through the woods, but it's just continuous shots of just running through the woods.
And it kind of kills the tension. Like the longer it, you could say the same applies for the dinner scene in the first movie. I, Personally, I don't think it goes on too long. I think that's the point, the screaming, the terror of that situation and the tension that comes from it. To me, that seems payoff. But an extended chase sequence through the woods is not payoff because that's not the end of the movie.
No.
It's not.
They changed the ending of the movie too.
Yes, I mean they really did a number on this movie. So there's so many scenes that feel like something was left out or is incomplete, and you'd be correct. It feels like an incomplete movie, which is a shame because I saw this movie when I was pretty young. I saw it on YouTube in parts. So for me, I'm a bit nostalgic for it. I don't think it's nearly as forgettable or as boring as people say. I find the character of Benny really cool.
Really good actor.
The lead actress is fine.
That's a good word to use.
She's fine. Then you got Ryan. Ryan's death is like it's Ed Gein. It's the first kill in the entire franchise, other than just we're digging up bodies or we like making furniture out of people's bones. This is the first like Ed Gein trademark. When because have you seen crime scene photos from Ed Gein?
Some, yeah.
So the scene like it's a movie. It feels like a movie. That girl who got hung upside down and was literally gutted like a pig down the middle. They recreate that scene, but with Ryan. So he's tied upside down, tied exactly like how that woman is in that photograph. And the mallet comes down on his face, and it could have looked so much better.
Yeah.
And it did. It does look better. We just haven't seen it because it got removed. But the movie was far gorier. That whole scene where the hammer comes down on his face was supposed to look far worse. But that's not what we got.
Like, you don't even see, there's no splatter either. It's
Mm-mm.
just like cut to Leatherface.
Yeah, there's a lot of those where just it cuts. Or even like when Benny's first introduced, when they're driving down the
Yeah, they
road.
weren't even on the same road.
No, it's like Vin Diesel and The Rock in Fast and the Furious. They're not. They literally aren't even in the movie together. They'll share scenes, but they're filmed separately. That's what that was. That whole scene. I think I wasn't the entire movie, but you could tell that the way it was edited. They were not even. They were on the set the same day.
No.
But Benny's great. The Leatherface design, I think, is really good. And you pointed out the fact that there's a bit of a change in his personality than the first one. He's more mean in this one. He's more on the offense. It's not like him standing his ground as a purebred Texan in the first movie. This one, he's out for blood.
Hmm.
You know, they
Fuck
can.
with my family. I let one person go, and now I have a totally new family
Hmm.
because everybody else got killed or arrested.
Why is there so many crazy people in Texas? He just keeps hopping from one crazy family to the next, and they
Yeah,
let him
he
in.
does it for a while.
Yeah. Uh, how do you like the family in this
I really like the guy with the white lens on his eye
one? Oh yeah.
because he kind of like it's not an insult, but it kind of is. But I'm not trying to make it an insult because I actually really like Tom Waits, but he reminded me a lot about Tom Waits in terms of like his live performances. If you've ever seen
Yeah.
footage of him playing live, just
His
like
mannerisms.
yeah, just all of it. I was just like that. I like that. That's cool. Just to say the least about because it's really other than his character, I think the hunk is fine. The cowboy, I think he's interesting, but I didn't like the mom, and I think I will say I think it adds to the meanness of the movie, the fact that the daughter is a bastard. But it's not needed. It doesn't do really anything for the story. And it's one thing to mention something to add it to the horror, but then but not be one of the main points of the movie. But to have two separate scenes discussing this, it kind of just the meanness there kind of like if it was like on a scale, the meanness would go down and the meaninglessness would go up.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I feel that way about another entry on this list, where I feel like it's just mean and there's no substance to the meanness. Because I like horror as a tool of empathy, and I like it to be. I love it being really raw and really just nasty and brutal. But I like it to mean something. I like there to be some value to that. And there's a lot of this that it's just whatever. And I know it's stupid to say in a slasher movie, there's no value to the death. There's no value to the killing. Like, that's what you go to see a slasher for is tits and gore. But you don't really get either in this movie.
No.
Or
Not
any value or substance to back it up.
no.
I still really like this movie. I'm gonna be real.
It's good.
I still like it.
I would say it's good.
I think that the commercial, the
Oh man,
it's
I
better.
was waiting for you to bring it up.
The promotional
Oh
shit
my
for
god.
the movie is better than the movie. It's Excalibur, Lady of the Lake, Excalibur with the chainsaw. It's better than the movie.
It
I
is.
wish they kind of went that angle where I mean they kind of do with the golden chainsaw, which as a utilitarian myself, I feel like there's no practicality behind a golden chainsaw. And also, if they're poor, they're supposed to be poor. This movie keeps the whole franchise. The further you go along, they become less and less poor. But in this movie, it's supposed to be this poor,
Fucking 3D.
this poor hodunk family out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, and you're telling me they can afford a golden chainsaw? If you can afford a golden chainsaw, I don't think you have to cannibalize your neighbors. Am I crazy?
No, I think that's very fair.
Where the hell did they get a golden chainsaw? Lefty couldn't even find one. He was in a damn chainsaw store.
Right.
They got just golden chainsaws. It's a gimmick. All these, especially these first four, they have gimmicks. I think the golden chainsaw bit is cool. But yeah, the commercial for the movie The trailer, I should say, is cooler than the movie itself.
I have an extra point. I'm just pulling it up so I don't fuck up the name of the band.
Everything goes back to music. I mean, hell, it is a music podcast. Might as well wiggle it in there while we still can.
So the same way I was looking forward to actually hearing Hellraiser, the Ozzy Motorhead song for three. At the end of this third movie, there's a thrash metal band called Laz Rocket, and I believe this is the band that Jason Newsted was in before he joined Metallica.
Hmm.
Um, but they have a song called Leatherface that features it in the credits of this film.
So, about the third movie in a slasher franchise, that really just begs to have a Thrasher. I love the Thrashers, man. The hell was that?
The flashlight.
How's there a flashlight? Oh yeah, Willow was playing with it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so loud in the audio.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry, guys.
We can't edit it out because we're talking about important shit.
We're
man.
like in the middle.
We can't edit it out. All right. What are we talking about? Music?
Yeah, music at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah.
I think you made the point earlier. It's like, why is it always rappers that get to be in horror movies, not like rock artists?
It's a bit of a modern trend to trace songs in your movie. Or I think it works with Halloween Resurrection with Busta Rhymes.
Yes, I really
that
enjoyed
works.
that.
That works.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll give that one a pass. A lot of people in my own fandom won't give that a pass. I'll give it a pass. I think it's neat.
It was fun. That was one of the first Halloween movies I saw.
It's a fun one. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's fun.
Yeah.
I saw it on the Chiller channel, if you remember that.
Yeah, I used to watch Fact or Fiction.
Yeah,
Or
me
Fact,
too.
Was it Fact
We'd watch it together.
Was it Fact or Fake?
Fact or Fiction.
Fact or Fiction?
Yeah, because they tell a story and then
It was always the craziest story. The one that was the hardest one to believe was always the one that was true.
yeah,
Like about the killer gorilla costume.
yeah.
It was like an animatronic. That was true.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Did it inspire Scott Cawthon? Fact
But
or Fiction?
also, we watched Ripley's Believe It or Not,
Mm-hmm.
and it was also the channel where I first watched Cabin Fever on.
Chiller was the shit.
Yes, they would show like bottom barrel movies, but like not like the shitty like $1 bin. They're like kind of movies that like had a budget and it was pretty decently made, but because it's not like connected with Paramount or New Lines, it just kind of falls under. But there was like it was nothing but gems. Yeah, you remember?
It's a coal mine, but every
Yeah,
once in a while I think it was a gem.
yeah.
They never played anything bad. It was
No.
all stuff that was worth watching.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't one of these bigger companies, there's a lot of gyms in there that if they weren't played on Chiller, I don't think I ever would have saw them.
Yeah. Like that was my rotation, man. The History Channel, Cartoon Network, Nick, and Chiller.
Isn't it weird that was my same rotation too? It's almost like that's why we're best friends.
Occasionally Animal Planet.
Yeah, there's a Lost Tapes on there. There's a show I don't remember the name of it. So guys in the audience, please help me out. And maybe you remember. There's a show that would talk about like specific animals, but they're always like dangerous animals. And it would do this thing where it cut to like it was like CGI, everything was green, like it was in the computer, and it would like play off these scenarios of say it was like a fucking Wolverine. It would render this green 3D model of a Wolverine, and it would show a person, and it would show what the Wolverine could do to the person in this 3D space. Do you remember what I'm talking
I
about?
remember a little bit.
I'm probably explaining it really poorly, but there's a show on Animal Planet about like really dangerous animals that could fuck your day
I
up.
think I watched one with the Tasmanian Devil, but I will out myself on this because I think it's fair, and I don't care at this point because the show's over. But and it's on topic too. So on Discovery Kids, uh, I was there for My Little Pony, but I really enjoyed the cryptid stuff they have. Like they had Monster something, Monster Hunters or something, and
Monster Quest?
I don't think it's called
That was
Monster
his,
Class.
that was History Channel.
Yeah, but they would take these teenagers and they go to places where cryptids were seen. Like they went to the mine shaft that Mothman was spotted at, and like go down the road and follow the path of the police reports and everything.
And thus
But
your love of cryptids was born.
yeah, I mean, it's because it literally was just so disc. Because it's like yeah, like Transformers, but I did like the Transformers they had on.
I like Transformers Prime, which played on the same channel that My Little Pony played on.
Yeah,
So
and I don't know. I did see like the so the obviously everybody knows it's the same reason with everyone who's like this. So why I started watching the shows because the story was actually really good. I just didn't find that with Littlest Pet Shop. So I mean, I only had like two shows that I was there for, because that was, and then other than like reruns of Power Rangers, but at that time I had shit to watch on Cartoon Network. You know what
real,
I'm saying?
real shit.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know what I'm saying.
like
So
the Pete Power Ranger just wasn't doing it for me. She didn't have enough staying power like the other channels had.
dude, the last like Power Rangers I was invested in is when they were wizards.
They were fucking wizards. I didn't even get
Yes.
that far.
Yeah.
Wasn't there one where it was like dinosaurs?
Yes, that's an early one. Yeah, I think
That's where I
that's.
fell off. I missed a lot.
I like it when they were wizards. That was the last one I watched.
They were samurai. They
Yeah,
were wizards. They were
ninjas,
dinosaurs.
ninjas.
What the
They
hell?
were cops, like legitimate cops.
I did see the movie that had Bryan
The
Cranston in it.
newest one,
Yeah, it was good.
I didn't see it.
It was a good movie.
I
It's a
want to
shame.
say they had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I think at that point Nick was already doing the Teenage Mutant Ninja stuff. But yeah, just History Channel, Chiller, uh, Discovery Kids exclusively for the cryptids and the My Little Pony show, and then Cartoon Network and Nick.
That's it. Yeah, it's pretty much
Yeah,
like there's only a few things you listed. It's just slightly different than mine
yeah,
because I also had two shows on the hub,
yeah.
which was
Eventually,
what
yeah,
became the well.
it was Discovery Kids first, and then it became the Hub.
We'll
That's
still.
when we lost all of, like my monster show because that was for the Discovery Channel. It's like the kids' version of Discovery Channel, and then they rebranded.
Oh my god, man! I just got flooded with memories. Kenny
Mm-hmm.
the Shark,
Mm-hmm.
the King Tut show. Then there's
That's not Discovery Kids though.
it wasn't.
No,
What was that? That
PBS.
was PBS.
Yes.
Oh, was that also the one that had the three time traveling kids?
Yep.
Do you remember the Frankenstein episode?
Yes.
That's the only one I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Now
also
they got fucking Sid the Kid. Sid the Science Kid.
and he goes to the back rooms. You
He-
see that episode where Sid the Science Kid goes to the
Fuck up, Chandler. No.
yes!
No.
He literally Sid the Science Kid. His parents are like, yeah, walk through that wall right there, and he's like, what? What do you mean walk through that wall? He's like, yeah, because you know what he got? He asked his parents. He's like, yeah, I swear to God, in this fucking PBS kids show, he's like, hey, mom and dad, where do they come from? And instead of taking like a very mature approach and trying to explain, like something like Bluey would do, is try to explain where do kids come from? Because Bluey did an episode on pregnancy and
Right.
childbirth.
Yeah.
It literally showcases what it looks like to give birth. They get banned on Disney Plus. But instead of taking like a very mature and responsible look at, yeah, let's teach kids what is pregnancy, what is childbirth, what is sex. Instead, they do the fucking backroom scene. So it's like, where do I come from? They're like, go through that wall. And he walks through the wall, and he's like, he has this existential crisis because he's surrounded by like real life people who are sitting in the studio animating. Oh my god. Bluey did the same thing. There's an episode of Bluey that did the same thing where the whole episode it's about this hand puppet that Bandit has. And at the very end of the episode, Bluey goes to sleep and she like wakes up and is like, am I a puppet? And like she starts getting like really existential and worried about it. And Bandit comes in, he reassures her. He's like, you're your own individual person. And he leaves the room, and she's like, okay. So she lays back down, and the fucking camera zooms out, and you see like the rig, like the animation rig on the computer screen of the animators fucking with their body.
Just It reminds me of Looney Tunes stuff, man.
Oh, the constant fourth wall breaks.
Yes.
I saw a guy do this in a toothpaste once.
Dude, those
There's
were
no context for that at all.
better times, man, for animation.
Oh, like when you could actually like show gun violence in a
Yes.
kids cartoon,
Yes.
actual suicide jokes. There's literally episodes of Looney Tunes where it ends on suicide.
Yes.
They'll put a gun to their head, and the episode fucking
And
ends.
they were progressive too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no one talks about it. But I think a great like way to circle this back around. The craziest thing about it is talking about Chiller. Leatherface played on there.
Mm.
Texas Chainsaw 3 played on Chiller. So Chiller did have some good bangers on there. And I saw it on YouTube first, but I was constantly watching Chiller, and it did play on there.
Dude, I would plan out my week around the schedule of what movies they were showing on Chiller.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
be like, I'd get off at 2. I would be leaving school at 2, and I'd be able to get there at like 2:15, 2:12.
I would do the same thing with Cartoon Network shows too. I'd plan my whole day around
I
it.
did that too. I fucked up with the Over the Garden Wall when it originally aired. I missed one day and I was like, fuck. And I was like, okay, if I watch this day, I can watch the previous and the newest episode. Then I missed that day. I was like, it's all fucked. I can't get.
Do
Because there
you
weren't streaming services then.
No, in better times, honestly. Because now all I watch is YouTube. I will even watch movies. I'll watch a 7-hour dissertation on a movie I will never watch in my life, but struggle to sit through an hour and a half of something. Crazy how that works.
Yeah.
They say our attention spans are waning, but I disagree.
You're, it's waning in a different way.
Right, I can watch a 5-hour Backrooms video. That's why I bring up Backrooms. I was literally watching yesterday. I was sitting on the shitter for way longer than I should have been. My asshole started getting stuck to the seat, but I was like, I'm gonna finish this video. This 5-hour backroom video. I will fall into the backrooms through this damn toilet if I have to. I'm gonna finish this video. Oh my god, that's what it felt like. But with Texas Chainsaw 3. Wait, actually, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a question real quick, so prepare yourself. What was the first thing you remember, like, planning a schedule around? Like a movie or a song, whatever it was. What's the earliest thing you think of? Like, I literally learned the calendar for this thing. I learned the days of the month for this.
Okay, so when I was like 11, 12, I would figure out what my parents' sleep schedule was so that I could watch Ren and Stimpy at 2 in the morning on Nicktoons.
Mm, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's the earliest I can think of right now.
I was in kindergarten, and I just did not give a shit about the months. I mean, whatever. I still can't remember them half the time. It's all a blur.
I
Uh,
mean, as of late, yeah.
yeah, as of late, it's all a blur to me. But even then, I was like, I don't give a fuck about the months.
That's just such a baller thing to say. Like you don't even care about human constructs. That everybody, no matter what culture you are, you you follow this particular time
I
or
just, I
days.
didn't give a fuck.
You
Like,
said, "Fuck that."
there's only two colors I care about. That's blue and orange. It's the only reason why I like the Florida Gators. Because I think blue and orange is just the greatest color combo, and Portal really nailed that. Blue and orange is the only color combo you
We
need.
got to do an episode on Valve.
Oh yeah, we will. We've talked about it enough at this point. If we talk about it enough times, we'll do an episode on it.
Yeah,
Just-
you're Half Life and I'm Portal.
Why not both? Why not both? I have the orange box here from 2007. It's got Team Fortress 2 on it too. We could play it.
Yeah,
Yeah, some other time. We got to play Morrowind first.
yeah.
Uh, but I remember it was kindergarten. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about colors. This number shit is stupid. You know what I used to do? You know what I used to do? I would. So what they would do is, they would give us these like colored teddy bear looking things, like they're plastic little teddy bears, and they have whole bins full of these things and give out the kids in the classroom, and they'd be like, okay, put put aside 5 blue ones, and then put aside 10 red ones. So we'd have to pick out 5 blue ones, 10 red ones, and count them. And like, all right, how many blue ones are there? How many red ones are there? And how many do you have in total? And I was like, fuck that. That's stupid. Numbers are lame. I made them force feed me apple slices as like as like a treat. I would refuse. I'm like, you want to pay me off? You better slide me some apple slices. I refuse to do any counting or any sort of mathematics unless they fed me apple slices.
I've known you since what, 6th grade?
Yeah,
I've never seen you eat an apple.
we gotta rectify that because I fucking love apples.
I've never seen you eat an apple.
I've never gone my way to get one, but at the time that was payment. That was my currency. That was my transaction. If you gave me apple slices, I would do math.
That's fair. You're a simple man.
Like, you give me some apple slices, I'll count some numbers for you. 1 apple slice, 2 apple slices. Keep them coming. I'll count them all up. I'll count to 1,000. Keep it going. So I'm in kindergarten, and the reason I learned the days of the month, the months of the year, because at the time days didn't matter to me either. It was all about months, and in particular, 6 months mattered. Why did 6 months matter? Because Bambi 2 was coming out. I don't know if you know this. Bambi is awesome. Bambi fucking rules. I'm not talking about the new slasher one that's coming up called Bambi the Reckoning. I mean,
I'm so excited. I'm so fucking ready.
1941, 2 great things happened in 1941. Bambi came out, and America got involved in World War II. 2 very great things happened. But one of those is better than the other. Bambi. And I love Bambi a lot. I wasn't around for it when it came out. I wasn't. I didn't see
I don't
things.
think I know anybody that was.
So I love Bambi.
So
And
it might be more than 90 years now since
D-Day was
41.
since 44. Actually, June 6th was 2 days ago, and that's when D-Day happened. That was Operation Overlord, June 6th, 1944.
You're the World War II guy. I'm sorry. I just like French Revolution, dude. Real quick. Can I make a comment about Voltaire?
Can I fart real quick?
I guess.
All right, you can go.
Okay, so he has these 2 quotes that really contradict each other. I've been meaning to tell you this, all right? I've been sitting on this for about 3 days.
Are you about to pick apart Voltaire's philosophy and tell him why he's wrong?
No, because I agree with both, but they conflict with each other.
Okay, go ahead. The duality of man. Go ahead.
So, his first line, in summary, is kind of like, you're only gonna get okay. So, to know who you can't criticize, that's what it is. For the people that you can't criticize, that's basically the government. Essentially, okay, real quick, right? So basically, it's like you can. Fuck, how does it go? I remember. I've been sitting on this for a while. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Set those recorded.
I got it now. To know who controls you, just look at who you can't criticize, right? Okay, stay with me now, alright?
Okay.
So he's got this one quote, and then he proceeds to say, God damn it. Chandler, if you didn't laugh, I would have started, alright? You should always speak the truth, but some truth shouldn't be said. And I'm like, that's... So on one side, it's like, okay, the reason why the government is bad is because you can't criticize them. On a bare bones analysis, right? They control your life because they're the only people you can't talk shit about, right? But then on the other side, the motherfucker is saying, yeah, we should always be telling the truth, but some truths, like the government is bad, we should keep to ourselves.
Was he referencing the government in that, or was he talking about God?
You know what? That's a really good question.
For Voltaire?
Yeah,
Wish the man was here, R.I.P.
R.I.P. I love the French Revolution.
We went from Bambi to World War II to the French Revolution to struggling to quote Voltaire within the span of, was it even 10 seconds?
Okay, what was your Bambi?
Yeah, what I'm saying was like I didn't learn the calendar for any other reason other than Bambi. So I learned the months. I didn't learn the days of the week in between that, but I was like, these 6 months, these are all the months that matter. And I memorized them. So now I know. I know now that August goes into September. That was a real struggle for me. It's like those are two different things. You mean August is summer, but September goes into autumn? I couldn't conceive that. So I had to learn the 4 seasons and I had to learn these 6 months just so I could prepare for Bambi 2. And when it came out, you want to know what happened?
Did you like it?
Oh yeah, I fucking loved it. I wore that movie. Yeah, I saw it so many times. I found it in the bargain bin day one when the movie released. Because I didn't go to the theater. It wasn't a theatrical movie. This is at a time when Disney is releasing these stupid sequels. Like, how many Aladdin movies are there? Were there like fucking four?
Yeah.
There's like three Little Mermaid. I was about to say My Little Mermaid. I don't think that's what it's called. Then there's the second Fox and the Hound movie was super solid. Well, of course not as good as the
Yeah.
first, but like you have these non theatrical sequels that they were pumping out in the early aughts for whatever reason, and it was like straight to video and all this. And I went to go see Bambi 2, and I thought it was gonna be like this whole aisle. Like I had it planned out. There was this whole aisle of nothing but Bambi 2. I had to dig through the fucking bargain bin to find it. Day one, day one of release, there was like no setup for it. It was where is it? Where that? And I had to dig for it. Talking about diamonds in the rough, man. I had to dig through some schlock to find it. But I got my Bambi too. And long story short, it was all right.
Okay, so there's a difference between asking you, did you like the film? And what did you think of the film?
Oh yeah. If you ask, like, I could give you the simple answer and say, yeah, it was
I
good.
fucking loved it.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome. It was my life for like a year. I watched it. It was the only movie I watched. It was Bambi 2. But like the story behind it and why it matters. And this is why media is important because I had to learn human constructs for Bambi 2. Thank you.
The Walt Disney Company is the reason why you can count the months.
It's the only reason. It's the only
Know the
reason.
seasons.
Yeah. But the Chiller was the same way. It was like I would plan stuff around it, but the Cabin Fever was on there one day, which is Lionsgate, so that's a pretty big movie to be on there. But Cabin Fever, but uh, Texas Chainsaw 3 Leatherface was on there, and I don't remember watching the whole thing because I was like I already saw it on YouTube. I get the gist, but even like if the first movie was on right now, I'd watch it. If the second movie was on right now, I'd watch it. If the third movie was on right now, I'd probably have it on the background while watching the Backrooms video. You know, I don't dislike it. I don't love it. But I'm glad it's there. I really do. I think the ending of it is the best part of the movie. And I don't mean that to say, thank God the movie's over. I mean to say, I just think the way the bullets fly through the walls and the guy's fingers get torn off.
Yeah.
It's a good ending. It's a good climax. It's the only like eventful thing I can really think of. Is that sad to say about a movie? The only eventful part of it is when it ended.
I really like the swamp fight for Bugs and Leatherface.
He was he was supposed to die.
Yeah.
Benny was supposed to die.
Benny, excuse me.
Yeah. Almost like the guy with the dreads from Jaws 4: The Revenge.
I haven't seen that one.
He was supposed to die. And there's two cuts of the movie, one where he did die, and there's a second cut where he lives. And there's also a cut of the movie where the shark looks a lot better, but we won't see that cut. Uh, but I bring that up because this movie, Benny was supposed to die, and there's not like two separate cuts, but the cut they went with is the cut where he lived, because test audiences loved his character so much that they just decided to let him live because he was cool.
That's rare.
He, normally, they look back on this stuff with regret, like
Mhm.
maybe we should have let that guy live. Fuck it, let's start a new continuity where he does. You think Texas Chainsaw would be really good at that, considering that's all that they do.
It's just continue with like no substance relativeness to the previous entry.
No, it's constant rebooting. But I would forgive them in this one instance if they killed Benny off for good, and they're like, shit, we need to bring him back, reboot the franchise. Oh hell yeah, I was down for it.
That's the thing, being a Texas fan, that you notice that it, there's no real sequels until you start after the remakes because they're all just requels.
It's almost like it wasn't designed to be a franchise.
No.
If Toby Hooper didn't make that second movie, I mean, fuck, I'm not. I don't want to blame the guy for anything, but this is on him. He hung up this franchise like Pamela on that meat hook, and he left it out to dry. And now the vultures are picking off its dead carcass, and I think it's remained that way ever since.
And we've gotten some good ones after two.
I mean, yeah, I like all these movies. I like all of them. I don't think there's any duds, and that says a lot because most people say that there are duds, particularly the next one and this one too. Uh, I think there's enjoyment to be had with all of them, but we also watch a lot of shitty movies. So
We just have better taste.
this franchise just so happens to not be as bad as like I don't know Killjoy or something like that. It's not saying a lot, but we can tolerate some stuff because it can be worse. If you think your franchise is bad, it can be worse.
Hmm.
It's not Full Moon. It can be worse.
Hmm.
It can be worse than Full Moon, and God forbid that day should ever come. But 3, it's solid. I like it.
It's good.
Is it memorable like the
Not
other ones?
really.
No. Good Leatherface design. I like these very proactive now, and it's not just I'm standing my ground. I'm coming to your ground. And I'm gonna stand on that too, and then I'm gonna kill you. I
I really
appreciate
like
that.
this scene with the speak and spell, where when he sees a
Yes,
person,
thank you.
it's he just puts food.
Some psychology with it because Leatherface isn't just some. I mean, he's mute, but he's not just some mute psychopathic serial killer, like supernatural serial killer like Freddy or Jason or Michael
Michael.
Myers. Uh, he's a person. He's a very grounded, and I know you like your Texas Chainsaw movie to be very grounded, and it is. Leatherface is just a guy. Does he
Hmm.
have some serious problems? I mean, sure, he's got some issues going on, and that's why I like when this scene with the speak and spell because yeah, it's sad that he sees people as food, but you're also getting some insight because he's angry that the speak and spell is telling him that people aren't food because to him he can't conceive of that.
Right.
And it's some very interesting psychology, and you don't normally get that from other slashers, especially Michael Myers. The whole gimmick with Michael Myers is that we can't figure this guy out. But at least with Leatherface, there's some sympathy. There's some humanity there, and even if he's acting like a child, you kind of just want to show him a better way.
Yeah.
I can fix him. We get to my favorite.
You got all your points out of the way?
I do. I'm satisfied.
Okay. Okay, so this is a really good one. Not for it doesn't. This is good because of how bad it is and how fast they realize how bad the film is.
You see the moment. The moment they're like, this isn't good. What's crazy is the moment they realize the movie isn't good
It's
and,
good.
and lean into how bad it is, it gets better.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
Yeah.
Because
We
then
get. Go
the
ahead. Sorry.
second they don't take themselves seriously anymore, because like the movie's already bad. and really cliche, and the dialogue is just atrocious. I don't know the I want to call her the slut. She's the slut character. I don't remember her name. The
You
slut.
could
You know what I'm
just say
talking about.
girlfriend.
I was gonna call her something worse than slut too.
Just call her girlfriend.
So
Matthew's girlfriend.
so Matthew's girlfriend. I wasn't even talking about her, and that's the thing.
Oh.
The girl from the beginning. Cause like we're
Oh,
gonna die out.
bimbo.
We're gonna die out
Oh, the
here.
bimbo.
Oh, not the slut, the bimbo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, now we're on the same page. Okay, now we're on the same page. So not the slut, the bimbo from the opening chick when they're coming back from prom. Are they going to prom or are they coming back from prom? It's so quick. The opening is so quick.
They were already at prom.
So
Or
they're
they took
leaving.
the pictures together, and then it follows like after prom
That's what I
because
thought. I just want to make sure. So they're coming back from prom, and this bimbo chick the whole time before anything has happened, before anything. Oh my god, we're gonna die out here. My God, we're gonna die. We're all gonna die. The whole movie.
is
She's such
she.
a downer. She's so negative.
I love how she's just like 5 more minutes as she's bleeding out on the ground, and like we can fucking leave right now.
Oh my God, it screams intentional.
Hmm.
I don't think it is. I haven't seen it behind the scenes like I've seen with the first or second movie. This screams unintentional, but there came a point like a quarter of the way through the movie, you're like, holy shit, this is bad. Yeah, we already recorded all this. We already filmed all this. We spent money. The studio spent money. They invested on this movie. They need something to show. It can't just stop now. The gears are in motion. So they had to keep making the movie because it was funded. The whole budget was funded at this point. So like, shit, we gotta actually make the movie. And like a quarter of the way through, they just leaned into the slapstick and the silliness, and it makes the movie a million times better.
Matthew is the best part of the movie.
And the best part is, when the movie starts, he's kind of reserved, and then there's a switch goes off, and Matthew's like, "I'll take it from here, you
Because
stupid kids."
like, there's no way that there was any of his dialogue that was scripted.
I don't think there was. I don't think there was a script for that second half of the movie. I don't think there was a script. I refuse to believe that there was any dialogue written for Matthew. Matthew's like, "I'll take it from here."
Follow my lead.
And he looks back on the movie fondly. Like a lot of people in these kind of movies will look back and say it was kind of like it tainted their career. It was a bad mark on their career, like a blemish. And they don't look back on it very fondly. Even Gunnar Hansen doesn't look back on that first Texas movie very fondly. So Matthew fucking loves this movie.
Hmm.
He thinks it's great, and I love that. Because someone like Matthew would think, oh, he would hate this movie. No, even Matthew loves it. He's great. I had a good time. I get to like slap people around and yell at them.
I wish he would play more villains like that, like off the chain villains.
Yeah.
Kind of like I feel like in a way he might do good as like maybe an early or a late Riddler.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, Matthew McConaughey is the Riddler,
yeah, like
and Willem Dafoe is the Joker.
yeah.
Holy shit!
And wow, okay.
Holy shit!
Wait a minute.
We see. This is one of those times where like, oh, we can't move to Italy and get around copyright laws and make a movie. This is we'll get fucking lawsuit up the ass. I don't think we're gonna be able to do it. We literally can't make this movie. Maybe if it was the '70s, there was that Filipino movie with Batman in it. But this is the modern age, and I don't think DC is going to let us make a movie. Also,
I don't think they're letting anybody make a movie.
more importantly, I don't think talk about hubris. I'm so concerned with copyright laws. I'm not even considering the fact that how would we be able to get Matthew McConaughey and Willem Dafoe to star in our movie? I think that's the bigger thing. That's probably more important.
Dude, what if we did it in a way where we had voice recordings, like they would record their lines like from their house or whatever, and then we just over put it in the movie for the scenes where they would be in, and then we just have an actor with a Matthew McConaughey mask and a Willem Dafoe mask.
If we're gonna get them at all, it's not gonna be for voice acting. Do they get paid?
Who? The actors? No.
They're rich. They don't need money. Oh, when you're done with that, can you give me a light too? I think it's out of fluid. Yeah, just like the franchise.
All right.
So yeah, Matthew, he's the star of the movie. He's if you're gonna see this movie, he's the reason why.
He's so good in
He,
this movie.
it, it's so absurdly good, and that's the craziest thing about this entire franchise. There's always the one standout character. A lot of supporting characters are great. Don't get me wrong, but two, yeah, Chop Top.
Yeah.
With one, it's you get a three-way whammy between the cook, the hitchhiker, and Leatherface. I think
Yeah.
they're all fantastic. But in two, yeah, Chop Top is the standout villain. The cook returns, but he's from the last movie. And three, Benny's great. Uh, I think Benny's the stand-up character.
Yeah.
Hell, two, you got Lefty.
Yeah,
And,
too. Yeah.
and in this one, you got Matthew McConaughey. There's these really great stand-up characters who I think are iconic. They're staples of horror movies, and you're just not going to see them again. That's it. So Matthew just hams it up, man. He's like almost like Jennifer Tilly in the later Child's Play movies. Just they completely understands what kind of material you're working with, and they're not above it.
No.
Matthew is seen as a highly respected actor, but I went to the theater and I saw a movie called Serendipity. Have you heard of it?
No.
Exactly. Fucking nobody has. I was in the theater with like maybe two other people. I went to see this Serendipity movie. I thought it was horrible. It was dog shit. But it had Matthew in it, so I wanted to see it because it was I think right after the Dark Tower movie came out, which is also dog shit. If you read the books, it sucks. Oh my god, it's a Pennywise sign. Oh my god, it's a picture of the Overlook Hotel. You know that, right? Oh my god, look at all the stuff you know from other Stephen King works. Yeah, that's all great, but where's Dark Tower shit? I'm in the movie. This is a movie about Dark Tower. Gotta get something from the Dark Tower movie. Whatever. Anyways, all that to say, he played the Man in Black in the Dark Tower. So this is coming off the heels of that. So I went to go see the Serendipity movie, and it was horrible. But I liked it nonetheless because I had Matthew in it.
I liked Matthew in Love and Thunder.
Yes. Who did he play in Love and Thunder?
He played. No, it wasn't Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah,
That's
you
my
got me
bad.
for a second. Christian Bale played
Yeah.
Gore the God Butcher. I can see where you get that from. Christian Bale's kind of the same category as Matthew.
There's just hunky, really good actors,
Yeah.
but they're like. I feel like they're in a different category than just like Mark Wahlberg and those guys. You know.
They're classy. They can play classier roles, if that makes sense. But they dabble.
Yeah.
Especially Matthew. Matthew can do some shitty movies. And he makes the better movies just by being there. His presence is the present. It's fantastic. And that's what he does for this movie. He does all the heavy lifting. I highly doubt there was a script halfway through the movie. They probably threw it in a dumpster fire along with the movie itself and just decided, hey, Matthew, we don't really have any other material. I think we're just going to close up shop. Matthew's like, just sit down. I got this. Just take a seat. I'll save this movie single-handedly.
Yeah.
Like saving a baby from a burning fire. He went in there like a fireman, rescued everybody. God love this man. I love him.
He's a really good actor. He was in The Wolf of Wall Street too, right?
Who wasn't? Name someone who isn't in a Martin Scorsese film. They're all in there. The Jonah Hill was in it too. Leonardo DiCaprio. Was Joe Pesci in it? No, he wasn't. I've seen that movie 7 times. But that's the name of Martin Scorsese. I can't remember who's in his movies.
Marky Robbie.
Yeah. Have you seen The Irishman?
I want to. My dad really liked it.
It's only 3 hours. That's where I'm at these days. I'm like, yeah, it's only 3 hours. Like, there's certain movies I couldn't sit through for like an hour, but I'll sit through a Martin Scorsese film
Did you
or
watch the extended cut of each Lord of the Rings movie?
it's not long enough. I literally can't watch the theatrical cut of Two Towers. I can't do it. I think the theatrical cut for Fellowship is fine. I think the theatrical cut for Return of the King's fine because it's already fucking 4 hours long. So it's another hour, right? But the theatrical cut of Two Towers is nigh unwatchable. If you've seen the extended cut, you feel how much is missing.
What's the time difference on it?
Let's say like 40 minutes. It's like a 40-minute difference. And a lot of it, it's like you don't need it. It's like it's fluff, just like in Fellowship and Return of the King. It's all they keep what they need, but I really feel it in Two Towers. I mean, narratively, there's a lot missing from this movie.
Right.
If you know the book, if you know what the original story is, like I can forgive Tom Bombadil not being in Fellowship of the Ring. Yeah, everyone knows he's a merry fellow. I get it, but I can understand why they didn't include the Barrow White scene or. But see, Tom Bombadil gives them the dagger that eventually defeats the Witch King. So when you get to Return of the King and they pull out this fucking magic dagger that allows Eowyn to kill the Witch King because she's a woman and the prophecy said that no man can kill me. Well, bitch, I'm a woman. Feminism. Go Tolkien. And then he kills the Witch King. Well, where did they get the dagger that stabs the Witch King in the heel? They got it from Tom Bombadil. He's a merry fellow. Whatever.
Dude, that's gonna take a lot of time to do the episode on.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of dip our toes here soon into it without going all the way into the deep end.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm prepared.
yeah, we're gonna be talking more fantasy stuff, but Lord of the Rings is a whole nother beast to tackle, and we'll tackle that another day.
It's like the pinnacle of fantasy.
All modern fantasy derives from it, and none of them capture the magic. Some get close, like
I think Elder Scrolls gives me those vibes.
Elder Scrolls is a piece of world building in fantasy is the only thing I could think of that even comes close. But even then, they take so many pages out of Tolkien's book. Like just the inclusion of orcs and elves and all and dwarves. Dwarves are there. They're in the lore. They're
Yeah.
not present in the story, but they're
Dwarvens.
yeah.
The Dwemer, I think they're called.
The Dwemer, yeah.
Type of elf.
Dwemer, I thought were dwarves. Are you talking about the Thalmor?
I don't know. I
The
saw
Thalmor used to.
something.
You don't know shit about the Elder Scrolls lore. So the Thalmor used to be a highly advanced civilization until they had a war with the Dwemer that drove them into the hills, and they became like cave dwellers, like in the Descent, because of their war with the Dwemer. Have you not watched the 7 Hour Iceberg on this?
No.
Ah, your mistake. Call yourself an Elder Scrolls fan. Have you not 100% completed Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim?
I played Oblivion for the first time yesterday.
Yeah, and then they go so well.
No, they killed the Emperor before I could.
Uh, do you not have Arena or Daggerfall?
Do you have Arena or Daggerfall?
Fuck no.
I didn't think you had a Macintosh.
How would I don't even know how I would play it.
That's how I feel about when I think about the first Fallout games. I'm like, how the fuck am I gonna play it?
You want to. Everyone wants to, but how would you?
Yeah, it's like I even know like the effort for it is not gonna outweigh the actual enjoyment of playing it because I don't think I would enjoy a top-down role-play kind of style if it wasn't like Fallout 3 or 4.
I can do it. I like Baldur's Gate and Pillars of Eternity, but again, that's isometric top-down perspective fantasy, which makes a whole difference. I don't think it's as effective when it's Fallout. Fallout works best in a 3D setting. Because I love those do your own adventure type of games where it's just dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
It's D&D.
A type.
Yeah, it's just like a typing game. I like those, and I like it when it's fantasy. But if it was like a Fallout style, I don't think I would dig it as much. But I'm
Yeah.
also not a sci-fi guy, so maybe we'll come to heads next week about that topic.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, there's a bit of sci-fi when it comes to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with Matthew's character.
In the Illuminati. We haven't even talked about that part yet.
Is that important? Yeah, I guess so. So,
Because
okay.
it's they come into the shot as soon as the movie gets good. They're the reason the movie gets good.
Not the reason, but I would say that the movie gives up. Matthew comes in, saves the day, and the Illuminati put out the fire. If Matthew is saving everyone from the fire, the Illuminati put the fire out. Because you get to the end and they're thinking, what other batshit thing can we do? Because they didn't have an ending. I guarantee you did not have a planned ending. So they're like, what now?
Yeah.
Matthew's been going off the hook for like the last 30 minutes. What now? Fuck it, bring in the Illuminati. And I don't think this is my headcanon. I don't think they're the Illuminati that like controls the world. I just think they're an underground organization that deals in human meat. I think it's just a black market organization.
That's fair.
I don't think they're puppeteering nations against each other. I don't think they're like controlling whole corporations like puppets. I just think they're selling human meat and they're using this family to do it.
He has Illuminati painted on the side of his truck, man.
He's not very good at hiding his affiliation
No.
with the shadow government. It's, you see it early in the movie. You see it on the truck, but you don't really think anything of it, and you're like, oh, you're serious. You mean it, like straight up, the Illuminati. That's what you're telling me. And the movie just gets crazier and crazier, and the enjoyment of the movie comes at this point to see how crazy can it possibly get. I love this movie
I
for that
think
fact. I love it.
I really think if they changed the generic rock song that they had playing when Matthew was going after the kids and stuff to something like Crazy Train or like a Guns N' Roses song, I think or even AC/DC, just like a Highway to Hell would have just been like okay, not this isn't just a good movie, this is a great movie.
I can see Matthew singing along the Highway to Hell,
Yeah.
smoking a cigarette with his arm out the window all nonchalantly, just like so absorbed in the song that the whole time he's running these people down.
hmm I think like missed potential, man. Like honestly,
The whole movie's missed potential.
it's good. I think if you go into it knowing that it's gonna be more fun than like a genuine good movie. It's
Isn't that
not a
more important?
masterpiece.
Isn't that more important? We watch a movie to get away from our mundane lives or from the stress of work or just our own personal lives, whatever it may be.
We used to watch movies at work.
Essentially, yeah, but for other people,
Right.
who have stressful lives, unlike us, who are just living the high life in the penthouse suite, right?
Uh-huh.
All the time. Of course, we don't bother with anything. But it's like we watch movies to escape. And this movie is a perfect escape. If you want to have a good time, you want to laugh with your friends, get high together, drink, and watch some fucking Texas Chainsaw, the new generation, go for it, man. You're going to have a blast watching this movie. Any other points?
Go watch it.
Please. Don't listen to the naysayers. They're haters.
It's really fun, and I actually like. I would say the two movies that if you were gonna watch from Texas, it's gonna be the original and the 2003 remake. That's all you really need.
But
But I would say a top five is definitely four.
that's a quote. Top five is definitely four. Yeah, I'd say it's the third one you have to watch because you get the best, and then you go straight into just fun insanity.
Right.
I love it. It's so good. When I watched it for the first time with you, I was blown away. Was it the first? Like I know I had seen it before.
It was my first time
Uh,
when we watched it.
it was like a fever dream because the movie is a fever dream, but I didn't really remember anything. But watching it again, people complain also about Leatherface and his portrayal. I think it's perfectly in line with what the first movie was trying to do. Is he wears the clothes of people and absorbs their role, and even in the first movie, he's got makeup on
Mhm.
because he's fitting the motherly role because there's no like matronly figure of the household, and so he wears Uh, he does look silly. I'll
We
give it that.
find out later why.
Yes, yes. I wanted to say it now, but I just want to keep rolling. Um, so the next movie, 2003.
It's so fucking good, man. It
Wow.
takes everything that was so good about the first one and enhances it. More gore, more meanness, and more emphasis on the theme.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. It's the greatest remake ever made.
I was telling you this. If we really compare it to the Halloween remake that Rob Zombie did, the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake of Friday the 13th, which is just the three first movies put together.
Yeah.
I really think Texas Chainsaw has the best remake. And yeah, it might be biased. I'm sitting here talking about how much I love this franchise wearing a Leatherface shirt, but I would say that this is the best remake for a slasher we've gotten ever.
It's not just slap. It's the best remake ever because, like you were saying, it hammers home all the points of the original. And if you wanted to say it did it better than Toby was able to do, you'd be correct.
Yeah,
You'd be correct. It's phenomenal because
it's
Toby worked on this one, right? As a
you
producer.
producer.
Yeah. So he was an executive producer on this one and the next one, the beginning. Uh, yeah, and I know you love. I think you love that one even more than this one
I
somehow.
do.
But again, it goes back to that topic of subjectivity versus objectivity. You recognize that this is a better movie, but you just enjoy the beginning a little bit more.
Hmm.
So this movie, the atmosphere is it's the only one in the entire series that captures the atmosphere, the dread, the tension, and the buildup that that first one has, and it doesn't quite have the same final act.
No.
It's not the same final act from the first movie. Do I think it's better? I don't. I don't. But it's. I personally don't. I don't. I enjoy the original more because it's the first, and there's some part of me that's like I can't allow this one to be better.
Exactly.
But I think it's more enjoyable for most people. I think more people watching this one might enjoy the final act of the remake more than the original. I really do. I really think it's more mainstream. I'm not trying to deduct points here. I'm not saying anything negative. That's not a negativity on it. That's
Yeah.
just I think more people will enjoy how fast paced it gets toward the end.
Yes. It definitely speeds up. And I want to make this clear. I have sympathy for the dead. If I happen to be in the presence of a dead body that I have to personally report, I would say almost every time I would. But if I had front row seats to see Leonard Skinner in the 70s and we were in the middle of nowhere, I would have dumped the hitchhiker. I'm gonna be real with you. I would have dumped the hitchhiker for front row seats to see Leonard Skinner in the 70s.
I second that notion. Hell, I would have picked up the hitchhiker to begin with because they'd slow me down.
You know what? That's even better. I should have gone with that angle. I
Yes,
should have.
I'm trying to save face here. Just because it's true doesn't. To quote Voltaire, just because it's true doesn't mean it needs to be said. Bada bing, bada boom. I will say this: I don't think, as much as I think it's the best remake ever made, and it
After
improves.
stroking it off.
Yeah, and it improves a lot. I got for sake of conversation, I'll say this: the Hitchhiker just isn't as. It's just not Nubbins. It was never meant to be, right?
No.
But the whole scene with Nubbins in the first one is just iconic and legendary, and this movie doesn't have as many iconic or legendary moments. There are some that weren't in the original that I think this one does that stands apart. Um, I do think Leatherface's mask. Before I even get into those scenes, Leatherface's mask in this one is the best in the entire series. You think it's the beginning. You think it's the beginning. I know. I think this is his best mask. I think he's the most intimidating. And is a true, honest threat in this movie. He's played completely straight. He's completely serious. I think it's a great design. But um, the scene where the guy gets the salt put on his leg stump, in my mind, is a bona fide hood classic.
Yeah, the poor uncle, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna keep this point for the beginning, but it's one of my favorite scenes in the entire franchise. But for the 2003 remake, it's a certified hood classic. If you're talking about horror movies and really good remakes, I think like not in the same way of storytelling and being able to capture the same movie and just doing all the points better, but the closest one I could think is the Piranha remake because it's really
It's good.
solid. It's fun, but it's not the original. You know?
It doesn't need to be.
No.
It takes the same premise, the same original concept, and just slightly deviates
Hmm.
for a more modern audience. Because that first Piranha movie is fucking stupid too. So
Okay, hold on. I really love the Piranha movie. In terms of Jaws ripoffs, that's my favorite one.
you know, like Orca,
I haven't seen it.
you might change your tune if you see Orca. Piranha's a well. Then, if I have to choose a favorite Jaws ripoff, because for whatever reason we keep talking about Jaws,
I mean, get the poster over there.
I don't even know why it looks like that. They literally redesigned the poster for Jaws 2.
Hmm.
It's weird. I don't know. But
Is it a bootleg?
yeah, we got a Days of the Dead.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's literally just a redesigned Jaws 2 poster. The one on the top was I don't know what the hell that is. That's not original. I paid
That's a
money
good
for
one.
it's really good. I just spent money on it. I didn't know where it was from. I'm like, that looks nice. I'm gonna take that with me. What are we talking about Jaws for?
Because we're talking about Piranha.
Oh yeah, that's right. So if I had to choose like a favorite Jaws ripoff or Jaws clone, if you want to call it that, trees.
We still gotta watch that.
Dude,
I want to watch it, man.
you
You
got
kept
Squint.
hyping up.
It's so fucking good. You got Cooper, Squint, and Chief Cody. It's so good. It's so when they say we're gonna need a bigger axe, gets me every time. My favorite, like we're gonna see it, and it's gonna hit even harder. But my favorite line from Trees is when Chief Cody, who's a park ranger, this is a national park during the 4th of July.
Get out
Get out of the
of
woods! There's a tree, and everyone freaks out. There's like thousands of people in this park, and Chief Cody's like, "Get out of the woods, everybody! There's a tree!" And they flip their shit and start running from the trees. Oh my god, I love it. And 2 is a Gremlins ripoff for some reason. So that's good, but like the fact that it's a white conifer, it's not a great white. It's a white conifer. I'd say Trees is my favorite. Piranha's really good. Uh, what else? What's another good Jaws ripoff? Oh, Grizzly.
hmm That's a good one.
Grizzly's really good. And has a very explosive finale, just like the movie it's ripping off. Uh,
But yeah,
yeah.
Piranha's remake is probably the closest in terms of having the same level of enjoyment. Now, obviously, it doesn't improve like really anything. Just modernizes it, change the story a little bit, add some titties, more titties.
Thank you. That's what the first one was lacking.
But it's in terms of the same level of enjoyment. I would say that that's the closest remake you'll get from me is the Piranha's remake. It's just like this should be the standard of how to do a remake.
I'm kind of shocked how good it is.
Of course you are.
I'm just shocked. It's the first
Did
one I
you see the
saw.
last two movies in this franchise?
I'm coming at the angle from like this is the first one I saw. I remember seeing the remake first, so going back in time, watching the original, I'm shocked how well it captured that magic. that Toby somehow was able to craft in that first movie to so perfectly replicate the feeling. Even if a lot of the scenes play out differently and they're different characters, the feeling is there. Rob Zombie's Halloween did not have the same feeling. Uh, goes without
It's
saying.
good though.
I like it. It's just I heard some people say, "Well, if Rob Zombie's Halloween was the only Halloween you had, you'd like it a lot more." No, because I wouldn't give two shits about it. If it wasn't for John Carpenter's original, I wouldn't care about Rob Zombie's. It's because I have love for the original that I would even put up with Rob Zombie's stupid ass remake.
I will agree with people that the second one isn't as good, but I do like the first one.
It goes in a weird supernatural direction.
Yeah, yeah.
Eh,
They had us in the beginning.
they really did. They had us in the first half. They really did. This remake is perfect.
Hmm.
It's the only movie other than the original on this list. I would say it's a 10. It's perfect. I know you'll say the beginning.
I would say there's three tens in this series.
Three of them,
Yeah.
which is the original, this, and the beginning.
Mhm. Like, they're the just to me. Honestly, I feel objectively the best in the series.
Early's in this, Gunnery Sergeant Hartman.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, he passed away some years ago, but him as the
Yeah.
sheriff, the quote unquote sheriff.
Dude, it's so good, man. He's so mean.
He's again, we have one standout character from like every movie. He's the standout from these two.
Hmm.
I want to keep calling him Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, but him as the sheriff, he's just awesome. He's got such good chemistry on screen with everybody. I, I mean, he's pretty much playing the same character he did in Full Metal Jacket, where he's just a dick and he's yelling at everybody.
But plays a better cook. I think I think the cook is better in the remake than in the original.
Yeah,
'Cause all of it makes sense. You know, the idea of he's going to keep this family together. Of course, he would be the sheriff. How he would become sheriff is irrelevant. He would take care of his family, and at that point, that was the only family in the town. So, it works out. And the fact that he was in Korea makes perfect sense. How, like, of course, like the story he tells about this is beginning shit, but how he would when you're a prisoner of war, you need to eat,
mhm.
and sometimes when rations are low, you got to pick somebody. And the mixture of how the family is a slaughterhouse family. Leatherface knows how to gut animals. Why are humans any different? And just all of it just flows perfectly into this story that wraps together, for me, makes the perfect cook.
It kind of reminds me of Albert Fish more than Ed Gein, like
Hmm.
that story. Because Albert Fish, the reason he probably would have done it anyways, but all good serial killers need an excuse.
Mm.
Just like Ted Bundy's was pornographic magazines. It's something to blame, something to point to, and be like, that's the reason why. Just like people with Gunnar Hansen being like, you're the reason why Ted Bundy exists. You're the reason why people are bad. It's all your fault. You're the devil incarnate. Albert Fish
The
had a
Beach
friend.
Boys.
Hmm?
The Beach Boys.
With Charles Manson. I mean, really think about it. It's the Beach Boys' fault. And Roman Polanski because he orchestrated it. You didn't hear that from me. So, Albert Fish had a friend who fought in the Boxer Rebellion in China, and people don't really talk about how bad it was because it's not like an American war that we talk about a lot. Ultimately, it wasn't a war we should have been involved with, like most American wars, you could say. But we were, and he was over there. His friend was, and the entire towns were under siege, so there's like no food, and so people would resort to eating children and boiling babies. I mean, it's better than killing someone you've known for 30 years, so might as well just eat this baby that's only been alive for 6 months. It's way easier, right? So his friend, yeah, he was on the American side, but after the war, they were just kind of stationed over there, and he'd go through the streets, and that was like a practice that was still going on. They were still eating children to survive because they're starving over there, and he participated. And he told Albert about this, and Albert cited that as a reason why he started eating children. It's an excuse in the end, but it's kind of like with Albert's friend, it was like a necessity.
Right.
There's no food and you're starving. What kind of lows would you go to just to survive? Not just for yourself, but the people around you. Or hell, even the people in that Andes plane crash or the Donner Party. I mean, you can just keep listing all the scenarios where you can almost forgive somebody.
Almost.
Almost. In this case, maybe not so much, but you you can have a little sympathy for someone when they're hungry because you're not you when you're hungry. And that leads us into the day's sponsor, folks, Snickers. I wish.
Oh. So
Oh my god, a Texas Chainsaw Snickers commercial?
you're not you when you're hungry. Gives Leatherface a Snicker.
And it just turns to the gutter.
That would have been so good.
It would have been.
R.I.P.
Yeah, they kind of dropped the ball on that one. I'm sorry.
They could have done it for the remake.
Yeah, I forget when Gunner died. Did he die in the 90s? I thought he died later.
I thought it was later. I thought it was 2000s.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it sucks. Like, if you want to talk about missed potential, a Snickers commercial with Gunner, I'm kind of sad now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad. I'm like, that's a good bit. That's a good bit, and it's just never gonna happen.
No.
Or maybe snap it to a Slim Jim. I don't know. I'm thinking now. Hmm. Yeah. I don't know. That would have been good. But as far as promotional bits, I still think the Excalibur scene, Lady in the Lake from the third movie is the best.
Yeah.
But let's move into the beginning.
Michael Bay produced, or he directed it, right?
Which one?
The remake in the beginning. He was either the director or executive producer.
Well, Toby was the executive producer.
Well, I guess he was a producer because Michael Bay worked on both of the films.
Yeah, you're right. If you forget that, because when you think of Michael Bay, you think
Transformers.
which of course just makes me think about Megan Fox, which of course makes me think about Ancient Aliens, which then turns me off from Megan Fox. It's all very cyclical in nature.
Yeah.
All right, boy. Do you find it? What was it?
I'm going to the wiki.
It's always the damn wiki.
Right, let's see.
Was he director? Just like, did he? Did he actually direct the remake? There's no way. There's not enough explosions.
He produced the remake and the beginning.
Okay.
He also produced the Friday the 13th remake and the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. He also produced The Purge election year,
Wow.
Ouija Origin of Evil, A Quiet Place.
What the
Wow.
hell?
The first Purge, Quiet Place 2, The Forever Purge. They're gonna make a third Quiet Place movie.
Yes, they are. Unfortunately.
Okay.
Is he a better producer than he is a director?
Yes.
No hesitation.
No hesitation.
Well, that's a fact that just slips your mind when you're thinking about Texas Chainsaw that Michael Bay was a producer. Because there's just not enough explosions. Is there titties? There's no titties in this one. Is there titties in this one? Let's rewatch it right now. Pause.
For the titties.
We gotta do no. We're doing research for the podcast.
Right.
That's what this is.
No, I don't think there's any nudity in either one.
Yeah, this one definitely amps the gore up. There's barely any gore in that first. Which is when you think of the first Texas Chainsaw, you think of it being
It's a grindhouse film.
It's grindhouse, and you think of it being very obscene.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's really, really not. This one amps the gore up quite a bit.
A lot of it.
Not a lot of it. It's pretty brutal. The
It's so good.
the chase of the slaughterhouse to me is iconic and is like this movie's staple.
Yeah,
That's why I was saying I'm kind of on the fence because I think the first movie's final act is just better, but I'm biased.
right.
I just like the original more, even though it's definitely just smaller budget, lower stakes, whatever you want to call it. This one just amps everything up and does everything the original did, but better.
Yeah,
It does, like objectively.
that's what a remake is supposed to do.
It just does everything better.
Yeah,
But that final slaughterhouse chase, and then Leatherface getting his arm cut off, it's just fucking classic.
yeah,
It's classic. And then ending it off with like that found footage. I love that grimy, gritty, black and white, 16 millimeter footage that they use,
yeah.
where the police they're going like in the basement of the Hewitt household. So in this movie, they're the Hewitts. The original, they're the Sawyers. I don't. Again, it's a weird change from the original, a weird deviation,
Yeah.
but so whatever. Thomas Hewitt, aka Leatherface. I kind of wish there was an entire movie that was like in that documentary format of like not quite found footage.
But like a documentary on the fabricated investigation.
Yes, because anytime they do something like
I
that,
think there's something like that on the special features that I have.
they do the same thing for the special features of Friday the 13th Part 4.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a documentary and it goes. There's like a cult of Jason. It's really good. It's really good. I mean, it's not like it's not good, but you know,
Yeah.
for the sake of what we're talking about, I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shout out. Get buy the special edition version of Friday the 13th Part 4 so you can watch the bonus stuff. It's good. But yeah, I kind of wish there was an entire Texas Chainsaw movie done in that same style or format. Uh,
Kind of like the found footage investigation documentaries you had me watch.
yes.
Like if it was just exactly like that, there was no like there was like slight footage of the actual events and everything, but all of it happened in the past.
Like the one with the zombies.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's kind of what I was thinking of. The black and white, grainy photographs are really hard to tell what's going on because they end on the frame of Leatherface.
Hmm.
He's still at large. He was never found, but they end on that frame, and it's the one you have.
Yeah,
We were in the drive-through of was it Duncan,
yeah.
and we're doing it for the promo, so we're on the way to. So I moved out, guys, back to my parents' house because there's just more space for like storage, like props, stuff I need. There's just more room over here. My office is over here, so I can just kind of move back. And we're on the way over there. Here, I guess that's where we also do the sin den. That's everything's here, so that's why we're on the way there. And he has all the movies with him, and I pick up the 2003 remake, and I'm just in awe because it looks so much better than my physical copy that I have. And I open it up like a pinup magazine. And it's just sexy, man. I love the way it looks, the art, the cover art of it, everything about it's just awesome. And then in this little sleeve, and there's pictures like crime scene pictures of them like holding up the chainsaw. There's a picture of that same frame of Leatherface at the end of the movie and it's just awesome. I love how it's treated like a real crime scene. Like it's a real event that happened. It grounds the movie and makes the terror all the more palpable because this, out of any slasher, this one could happen.
Hmm.
This one has happened because it's based off real events
Right.
times 100.
I think I think a good bit that I said during that car ride when I was talking about the physical movies I have the second print of the original Texas Chainsaw on VHS, and
History right there, man.
that was one of two items since I've been going to Goodwill since I was like 16. Um, there was only two times where the cashier was like, "Holy shit, man, that's a good find," something like that.
Hmm.
Was that movie, and I had a sealed copy of Bark at the Moon by Ozzy on cassette.
Wow.
I mean, obviously I opened it because I gotta listen in my car.
Right.
Yeah, when I had the Malibu.
But the ninth win, unfortunate events. So the 1986 VHS Texas Chainsaw movie that you have, the feeling I got when I touched it was the same feeling I got when I was at this antique shop and I had purchased. It was one of the first things I have ever bought with my own money. Like, I was still getting paid under the table as a landscaper. I wasn't even getting physical checks, man. I was getting like cash in my hand
Right.
under the table. I wasn't even like an employee at this place. But the first bit of money I got, I went to this antique shop, and one thing I got was a Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth poster. It was signed, but it's not really signed. It's a copy of an actual signed print. But one thing that's not a copy, that's an original piece, was a book from 1896. Before the Spanish American War even happened, it was a piece of propaganda. This book that I got saying why we as Americans should support the liberation and the rebels fighting in Cuba.
Wow.
And I have it in my room right now. It's a physical like book I have of this is listing all the reasons why we support the rebel cause in Cuba right now and their separation from the Spanish Empire. It's that like the feeling I got when I held that VHS was the same feeling I got when I held that. I'm like, this is history. This is an ancient artifact. This needs to be behind glass.
I've played it twice. I don't think I'm going to play it again.
No, I don't think you should. I'd be scared.
That's why even now, I am probably next time I watch Clockwork Orange, I'm going to be streaming it because not only do I would like to preserve the idea that it still works, but it's also now signed by um, Malcolm.
hmm it's even more special.
Yeah,
It has significantly more value and weight to it because of that fact alone. It already had sentimental value, but now it's like I could sell this for money.
yeah.
You're not, but the
No.
idea that it inherently has more value because his name is on there. If only my signed Jaws script was actually signed by Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw and Steven Spielberg, that'd be something. I know. I like to tell people that I have a signed script, but I know. I know it's not.
Like the signed script you got me.
Yeah, of Clockwork. It's the signature. Like
Yeah,
it's a copy.
yeah.
You just think about that. You just casually have a script of a Clockwork Orange laying around.
I have the book there too.
Yeah, and I just casually have the script of Jaws.
Do you
I,
have the book?
I have the book.
Do you
I,
have, oh, a little odd topic, but do you have Jurassic Park too?
I have all the Jurassic Park except the
The book,
Jurassic. Oh, the book.
the original
Yeah, I
book,
have the
Jurassic
book.
Park. Let me borrow it sometime.
Okay, I'll have to find it because it's not like on my shelf.
Right, because I didn't see it on your shelf.
Michael Crichton is kind of an underappreciated author. He's got some really good stuff. He has a book about time travel. He's got a book about a lot. He's got a lot of stuff. He's a great science fiction writer. He's really underappreciated in this time. He's also like 7 feet tall. Both sides. The dude's like 6'9". He's super tall. It's weird. It's just a weird fact that Michael Crichton's just that's fucking giant. Um, the beginning.
Dude,
This one's you. I'm gonna give this one to you. I enjoy a lot about this movie. I like the fact he's a dumpster baby. I like the origin, but this is what your favorite?
it's hard. It's flip flop. If we're going back to the scale rating I was talking about earlier, it's constantly going up and down both sides, just constantly. One's better than the other. Now it's flopped. Now it's flopped back. Now it's flopped.
Go
It,
ahead, buddy.
the beginning is probably my favorite origin story for a slasher. And as much as I like what they do in Leatherface, as much as you don't, I absolutely love what they do in the beginning. It takes the exact same theme of the first movie and just shows us literally the town falling apart, how Leatherface became Leatherface, and and how the cook became the sheriff. And it's just done so well, and it's more mean than the first movie, and I
Yeah, it's very mean.
it's like a Rob Zombie movie.
And that's why I just don't like it as much. And I love this movie. Don't get me wrong. I really like this movie, but I like the origin aspect of it. I think here's the problem with prequels. They answer questions you never asked. And this movie answers quite a bit of questions that you'd even think of. Like, yeah, I'd even think of him as not originally being the sheriff. That he just stole the title from somebody.
But then it also makes sense how he became sheriff.
Yeah, like it all makes sense, but it's like I didn't even think about that. I just thought he
No.
was the sheriff and he was abusing his power. But to actually see it unfold, it enhances the remake.
Hmm.
It makes the remake somehow, and that's what a good prequel should do. Like, if the 2003 movie is what a good remake should do to the original, this is what a good prequel should do to the movie it's a prequel to.
Hmm. I love how again, themes, it's just meaner and it has my favorite kind of ending. And it's why I love Rogue One so much and why I have since seeing Rogue One I have more appreciation for A New Hope. I still don't think it's better than Empire or or excuse me, Return of the Jedi. But nobody's gonna make it because they weren't in A New Hope, or in this case, they weren't in the 2003 remake.
So it adds to the sense of dread. Because you know
Yes.
how the story ends. A lot of people would say it makes it a weaker story because you already know how it ends, but it's about the journey to get to the destination you know is coming.
Hmm.
And you know it's not going to be happy.
No, and that escalates the level of meanness in the movie because they could just kill this character right now, and it would not affect anything whatsoever. But they choose not to. And literally, if you watch continuity wise, if the blonde kid, Dean is his brother, right?
Mhm.
But the blonde kid who's dodging Vietnam, he's sitting outside with the bear trap in his leg for hours. Like before the main girl comes back out of the house and goes try to go rescue him so they can run off. He's sitting there the entire time. And it only dawned on me till like towards the end of the movie, but it's like that's some like leveling that I really enjoy, like consistency, because it's like he's still sitting there when she comes out, you know? It the way that he's still there, it adds this level of like just kill him already. He's going
Feel bad. Just put him
yeah.
out of his misery, man.
Yeah, or the fact that the boyfriend was still alive when his face was taken off.
Just
I mean, that's in the remake, but it has the same level of meanness, you know.
mm,
And my favorite line from the uncle, as I mentioned before, was when he sees Dean and his brother hanged up like that. He just says, I don't meddle with his business. I don't get myself involved with his doings." And I really think that's a really good line to show, like, put down some lines between who their actual feelings about the events happening, you know. And like for example, also with his mom, the sheriff's mom at the beginning when they ate the sheriff. She said she didn't say I don't want to eat this. She said we got to say grace first.
so interesting.
Yes,
There's still some code, some sense of morality of right and wrong.
it's for me. It's like one of those movies that I just can't explain. Like I can explain to an extent on why I love the movie, but the type of love I have for this movie and the original is it's not quite the same because then there'd be contestants for my favorite movie, but same kind of love I have for A Clockwork Orange, where just to me like yeah this right here that I'm holding the movie in my hand. This is I love this is my favorite. I love this, and it's just like almost like a childish kind of like this is my favorite stuffed animal, you know.
Oh,
Like it's like it's weird that like
what a
I've
way to
said
make
it
it cute.
before. The original Texas Chainsaw movie is a comfort movie for me.
Same. I
Yeah,
could just put it on whenever.
yeah. As I said, also Clockwork Orange is a comfort movie. You know, as crazy as that might sound, but it's just really my favorite movies are the ones that are comfort movies. Like I fucking love Leprechaun Returns, and I would put it in a top 10 of my favorite horror movies. But
I didn't know you loved it that
I
much.
fucking loved it,
Wow,
man.
it's good. I didn't know you loved it that much. That's crazy.
Yeah, but it doesn't have that kind of grip on me as these two Texas movies and obviously A Clockwork Orange. But I think another one would be Alien. The original Alien is like this. This is really good. I love this. Uh,
Alien's a comfort movie.
yeah,
It's that
yeah.
slow burn
Hmm.
kind of movie.
And I like in a way for me, Evil Dead too. You know,
Hmm
and more so for you probably, but
I actually love the original more.
I know.
That's more of a comfort film for me. But I think everyone says two's the best. But
I think objectively, two is the best, but to me, I think it's Army of Darkness.
agree to disagree. It was crazy. I always start with the third movie in a series. I saw Friday the 13th Part 3 first. I I probably saw Texas Chainsaw 3 first, and
Yeah,
then
probably.
the remake. But I remember the remake more, which is
Hmm.
not saying a lot because the third one's just not that memorable. But I'm pretty sure I saw Army of Darkness first, and I saw Jurassic Park 3 first. I remember the day I like I had this encapsulated memory in my mind. I remember everything that was happening that day.
I saw two first, and that's why it's my favorite.
Lost World.
Hmm.
I mean, the whole bit with the two T Rexes is really good.
Yeah,
That's really good. That you want to talk about tension and dread. Those first, I would say the first three Jurassic Park movies are a masterclass of tension and dread.
they're horror movies.
They're of both all three of them,
Yeah,
and then they want to turn into some action
I mean, I
movie.
think it's fine, but it doesn't have the same energy, and I think I appreciate it more that they don't call it Jurassic Park 4. They just call it Jurassic World. Like, those things happen, but this is what we're talking about now.
Do you know what they were gonna do?
What?
Before Jurassic World was announced, I was always waiting for Jurassic Park 4. I was just constantly online. Almost every day I'd be typing in the search bar something about Jurassic Park. What's going on? And like years would pass by and just nothing, nothing, nothing. But then like there was news and leaks and apparently there was a concept where they were going to be weaponizing the dinosaurs, which comes back later in Jurassic World. But the route they were going to take this was completely different, where they were going to splice dinosaur DNA with human DNA, and it was going to create these abominations. I mean, they're already abominations, but like even more now because they're like walking around on 2 feet, like humanoids.
Yeah.
So imagine just like big muscular triceratops, bipedal triceratops walking around. It was gonna be a horror, like a body horror movie with dinosaurs, and they're gonna be like weaponizing them for war. And that like I want to see that movie instead of just a remake that literally just does everything the first movie did, but now they're invisible or they fly now, or stuff like that. It's like they
Right.
just change little
I
things.
really liked, what's it called? Dominion?
Me too. It's my favorite of the three.
Yeah, I still need to see the second one in the new trilogy, but
No one tries to go back to the horror roots, and it's like a single location movie, and they try to really like, oh, it's rainy, so it's scary. There's a thunderstorm. Ooh,
uh,
spooky, spooky. It really feels like Resident Evil when you think about it. The meddling with
yeah,
DNA and genomes at this mansion
yeah, honestly, yeah.
is Jurassic. Michael Crichton did well. No, he wrote the book, and the movie came out before the first Resident Evil. Resident Evil, Capcom, they s- they s- they ripped them off.
You find out about some conspiracy every episode.
I will. Yeah, I will find a way. Capcom.
You're gonna have your own Alex Jones show.
I hope so.
That's gonna be all you.
Oh, I don't know if I can hold my own for more than 30 seconds. If that's all the rip off of. That's why you're here. Like in theory, I'm the host, but we all know. We all know who's pulling the strings behind the scenes.
You?
Hey, this episode's you. This one's on you.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to talk about it anyway, so it's gonna happen no matter what.
Right.
But it's happening now
It
because
just
you
so
wanted it to.
happens that it's my favorite. It's like we still have it. It's weird that we didn't do yours first, but then again, at the same time, the themes would be off. And then it's summer now. You know?
This is the time to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's June. It's barely June. It's not even July or August. It's not even. I mean, it'd be good to do it in August, but
Yeah. We
it's
will be balls deep making a movie in August.
so there's that. Uh, Production on it, by the way, should be starting this month. That's the idea. I want to be filming some stuff this month, and then get balls deep as the months progress, and then I'm gonna really have to learn my calendar then. And then I'm actually gonna have to learn my days of the week because that's gonna be important when scheduling is an issue.
Yeah.
Uh, what's after the beginning? It's
Yay! I
oh,
don't think this movie, dude. I think I've said it before. Look, man.
do your thing, cuz.
Okay, you can't. Okay, you gotta let me build it up so that when you do that slash right there,
Okay.
that
Rewind time.
it's
Rewind
too
time.
late.
No,
It's too.
rewind time. We build it back up. It's
No,
done.
you ruined it.
It's ruined.
It's ruined. So honestly, the only movie I have a problem with is two. I enjoy 3D and I love Leatherface, but we'll get to the Leatherface in a minute. 3D, yeah, it's dog shit. Don't don't like. I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it as much as I actually really do enjoy the film. It's a shit movie. It really doesn't make any sense. The timeline doesn't work. The the
Holy shit.
okay. So for those who don't know, uh, it was gonna be Leatherface, the 2017 movie, then the original, and then Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D or Texas Chainsaw 3D. Um, and then there was going to be a fourth movie, but it never happened because Leatherface was not appreciated as much as it should have been. But uh, so 3D. So I at least you have to say this: the first part of the movie, the opening, is the
Yes.
best part of the movie.
Does it still make sense? No, it doesn't.
No.
So you have this extended family because this is supposed to be happening immediately after Sally escapes. This is the next day.
Mhm.
So the original happens August 18th. This movie is taking place August 19th, and they purposefully don't tell you the year, and because they know they fucked up the timeline. So the movie starts and it's Devil's Rejects. It's the opening of Devil's Rejects with the house siege. And it's not as good as Devil's Rejects, but you'll see this trend moving forward. Because Rob Zombie, what he did with House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects was try to recapture the magic of 70s grindhouse films, of which the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a big part of. So he's trying to recreate that. And now you have movies, Texas Chainsaw movies, trying to recreate what Rob Zombie did. So they're literally just doing the Devil's Rejects intro again, and it has this extended family. We have no idea where they came from, but all of a sudden they're in this house, and there's like what, two police officers there. You get the sheriff and some other deputy, and then the militia comes in. Like all the townsfolk descend upon this house and just light it up like it's the 4th of July, and kill everyone. And Gunner's there. Gunnar Hansen is there. Gunnar
Bill
gets gunned
Mosley
down.
plays the cook.
Yeah, yeah, a damn good job. He's barely on screen.
Yeah.
He's kind of obscured because he's far away.
I think it also plays in the mentality of the cook to blame Leatherface, even though
mm,
it was his idea to start killing people. Leatherface just isn't able to catch this last girl and gets away, and all he does is blame him. Like, look what you did. Now we're all in trouble. Look what you did.
it's perfectly aligned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was doing that in the first movie. Anytime anything happened, it was Leatherface's fault. It
Hmm.
was an easy scapegoat. But they have this extended family there. It's passable. Maybe we just didn't see them in the first movie because the first movie all happens within a very select amount of time.
They probably told the extended family to come to the house because there's going to be trouble.
And it was the next day.
Yeah.
So they allowed. So I can give a pass on that. That's really not that big of an issue because we see in the other movies there's always new family members. The family just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah.
So they get gunned down, yada yada, and then
I mean, sorry to derail you, but we could say in 3 and 4, that's extended family.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah.
that's how I view it. And with this, they kill everybody, and they find this little girl, and one of the guys who was part of this militia group decides to take her as his own.
That fucking kicks the mom in the face.
Do you think he took her as a trophy, or do you think he legitimately cared about this baby?
I think he cared because as harsh as their marriage seems, I feel like what we got from the beginning scene really showed that, like, yeah, this was a loving couple. Like they genuinely loved each other, and I guess over time they grew to hate each other, which happens. But I really think in that moment, like when the kid is older and asking why didn't you fucking tell me, he was just like, she wanted a kid, she couldn't have a kid, so I got her a kid.
It's kind of touching.
Yeah.
And we only get a very small snippet of what their domestic life is, and we get it at a very fragile moment.
Hmm.
So it looks way worse than it probably is.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, the mom is smoking and got a beer in the other hand. She's talking about these degenerates,
These Texan degenerates,
these low
these
life scum.
Sawyers. Well,
Yeah,
they don't say it's Sawyer because she didn't want her to find literally anything out
right.
about it.
But she finds out she's adopted, and also I want to say this from the actress's point of view, having a makeout scene with this famous rapper. Good on her.
Yeah.
I wonder what that's like. Like to just how lucky you are to get this role. And there's a scene that's like I get to make out with a famous person.
Yeah.
Do I like his inclusion in the movie? He's not bad. Honestly, he's not
It's
bad.
actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I think it's more of the dialogue writing that needed a little work
That's not his fault.
because it would have been better if there was no kind of sexual tension until like she grabbed her dick at the where they were getting ice cream or whatever,
Agreed.
and then he's like, no, don't, no, and then it completely stopped again, and then until the barn scene. Like if it was just like hinted at rather than just out in her face, bluntly flirting with each other.
It would have been a bigger deal when she took off all her clothes.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that's where this is going.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, the script writing needed a lot of work. It's not a very deep movie.
No,
There's really not many deep things about it. Um,
they really push this theme of family first. Family's always in the right. Family can never do any wrong.
I hate it. I want to like her character. I know she's supposed to be like 40 years old.
But she looks good for
She
40.
looks damn good for 40. And I love how her shirt just keeps getting shorter and shorter. Every time you see her, there's like less and less of her shirt till you just get side boobs.
There's
The
it keeps
curtains.
getting, yeah, it keeps getting more buttons keep getting undone. The progression of the movie.
Yeah. Which I'm happy for, don't get me wrong. But that's why they don't show a date on the tombstone. Like when they go to the mansion, which by the way, I just think is so stupid.
Dude, if she
It's so
was living in
stupid.
an apartment, she's not going to be able to afford that Texan mansion.
There's no way. The fact that there's even a mansion in the family.
It also is kind of like from her grandma, fuck you, because not only are you legally not allowed to sell the house, but you can't even afford the house.
It's the whole thing is just set up. It's just set up to have the house, and it doesn't even make sense for the family to have ownership of this house. They do explain it better in the next movie how they were even able to get a mansion to begin with. It's like it's part of the family, but it's the other side of the family
Hmm.
that has money, I guess. But when she goes to the graveyard, none of the headstones have any dates. They have like the day that the massacre happened, but not the one from the 18th. I'm talking about the massacre that happened the next day
Hmm.
when all the family members died. They don't have a year, so they can explain why there's cell phones and there's modern technology and they're using slang like "do your thing, cuz," or why they have rapper Trey songs because it's it's modern day. Why couldn't they have Brett Michaels? Why couldn't they have Brett Michaels? Tell me that. It's like why couldn't they have him?
Um, I would see him play the hitchhiker in this movie.
I know Brett Michaels can act. You wanna know why? He had that dating show.
Yeah.
He lied to a lot of pretty ladies. I can tell you right now. He's been a damn good actor. Unfortunately, we don't get Brett Michaels in this. We get Trey Songz. He does good enough.
Yeah.
And the timeline's wonky. I can forgive it if the movie was good. Unfortunately, folks, I'm here to tell you, I enjoyed it more the second time. This is a movie.
I enjoyed it more the third time.
Wow. See, I came around even sooner than you did. Like I had a character arc, and I realized I can't bash this movie because I realized I have a tendency to bash things that are newer, just
Yeah.
for the simple fact that it's new.
Especially 2017. God damn it, Chandler.
I like it better, but I still have a lot of issues with it, and a lot of it just comes down to modern filmmaking tropes, like just the way the movie's shot. I don't like the way the camera's held, like stuff like that, or just like basic script writing, or just basic filmmaking. It's just too new, modern, and Hollywood for me. I don't like it. I like the grittiness and just the way it's shot.
I feel like there was grittiness with Leatherface.
Not in the way I like though. It go and are you done with 3D, or you want to keep talking about 3D?
Yeah, a little bit longer.
Okay.
I think the kills were pretty good, especially for the hitchhiker. It's a really good reference. The door opens and just fucking hits him.
It's how quick it is.
Yeah. And the tension with the police officer going down into the basement was pretty nice.
Yes. Again, almost found. It's not found footage. But
And the
it's kind of
dude
almost.
fucking opens the cooler and the girl's screaming for help. He just pops her in the head.
Uh,
And then the mayor's like, "Don't worry, that didn't happen. Just get come
is
back to
that
the
not the
station."
response that the mayor would have, though?
That's exactly what the mayor would have.
It was almost muscle memory. The way he says it, it wasn't like he had to think about it. He's like, I've done this too many times.
Right.
It's like, don't worry, it didn't happen. The second he pulled the trigger, it didn't happen. Love it.
Oh my god.
And the best part, that's not even my favorite part about that scene. My favorite part is that it's the way she comes out of the cooler is just like from the original.
Hmm.
Like the same noise, same effect, the way the body comes up is straight out of the movie. The original movie. I love that. Everything about that scene has got good tension. I like the lead up to fall in the blood trail. And you're thinking, this is Texas. Everyone's got guns. And this scene shows you why, in cramped quarters in a house that you're unfamiliar with, why having a gun may not matter.
Hmm.
This isn't your territory.
Don't
Um,
tread on me.
that's you can be sympathetic in this one. You can view Leatherface as sympathetic in this
In a
one.
way, I think I was on that hill when we were talking about it when we rewatched it last week. I was on that
He's,
hill.
he's defending his house again.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to. Until he realizes that she's a Sawyer too,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden he's like, "Fuck! I killed all your friends." I hate when she gets taken in and she writes murderers on these old photographs of the militia gang that burned down her home and killed her family. I'm like, you didn't know these people. They're cannibals and sociopaths. Why the fuck do you care?
I do like the idea we were talking about how this sequel could have been like a bounty hunter movie because of how Leatherface has the picture of everybody who burnt down and killed everybody, and he would scratch off each one he killed.
And she would be like Julia from Hellraiser, but she just like I mean, she's a pretty girl. Just like attract some of these guys over and kill them one by one. I think would be like just lure them into the house like one big death trap and just have Leatherface kill them all.
I don't quite understand why the grandma was just still chilling up there and not in the grave.
I think he dug her up. That's why she was able to crawl into that casket. Her grave
Right.
was dug up, so I think Leatherface dug her. Which who buried her? Who found her? Who gives a fuck? Real questions are asking.
Who gives a fuck about 3D? Enough. I give enough of a fuck for it to not be last place. It's definitely second to last for me.
Also, the 3D side. The 3D's fine. It's a gimmick.
Yeah.
It's a like I can watch it. It's a watchable movie. I don't hate it. There's not a movie in this list I hate,
No,
but it's just too modern. It doesn't feel like a Texas Chainsaw movie. It doesn't.
not at all.
And then it goes off the trope again about Leatherface dressing up as a woman. He does it in more appearances than not.
Yeah.
Really think about it. He dresses. When I say dresses a woman, that doesn't necessarily mean clothing. That can also just be the face that he wears is a female face.
Yeah. Also, you really like the fact that he was out in public at the festival.
Because it reminds me of Freddy versus Jason during that party out in the cornfield. Just seeing slashers surrounded by hundreds of people. It's like a kid in a candy store.
Right.
Like, I have my pick of anybody I could possibly want.
Right.
But he wasn't there to kill anybody. Like Leatherface is selective,
Mm-hmm.
and he was only after her at the time.
Goth chick.
Anyone who got in the way. I hate that the movie paints the mayor and the police force, especially Scott Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's kid, which how the mighty have fallen. I thought it was Chris Evans the first time I saw the movie. I really thought it was Chris Evans.
That's fair.
He kind of looks like him, but no,
Yeah.
it's Clint Eastwood's kid. And he's trying to pull off the cowboy look the whole movie. It's just not working for him.
No.
He's not his dad. He's not the spirit of the West from Ringo. You see that movie? It's good.
I haven't seen a lot of Clint Eastwood movies. The only one I
No,
saw was Return of the Creature.
it's a Johnny Depp movie.
Hmm?
It's a Johnny Depp movie. He plays the lizard.
Oh, that one?
Yeah, Clint Eastwood's in it. But he plays the spirit of the West.
Oh,
So he
right.
shows up as like this guardian angel out in the desert, guides Ringo.
Enrico was really good.
It's a very experimental film. Like rewatching it, it's a fucking weird movie, and there's an awesome reference to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas that 8-year-old me didn't quite pick up on the first time I saw it. I say 8. I was probably older. It's really not that old of a movie compared to us. We're old timers,
Fuck yeah, man. I feel it.
especially in your lower back.
Yes,
Blame it on Kroger.
I do.
Retail jobs is not for the weak.
No, it is not.
Damn straight, brother. You know what else is for the weak? Well, definitely not 3D. 3D is pretty weak.
Yeah.
Let's get to a serious movie. A real serious movie.
Leatherface is
2017.
fucking great. I fucking love this movie. I think it was definitely a welcome in terms of we're getting an actual Texas Chainsaw movie that feels like a Texas Chainsaw movie. At least for me, it has the grittiness. You feel the heat. You have the tropes of these crazy people, and in this chance, it's the kids that are crazy. And after a second watch, the twist in the movie doesn't bother me as much.
I have problems with it, but we'll get there. I do want to say I'm already not a fan of movies that take place in psych wards or mental asylums, which thank God the movie doesn't dwell in there too long. I don't know what it is. I can't
Think
articulate
it's too
why.
easy,
Kind of.
or do you think if it's not Who Flew Over the Cuckoo Nest, don't even do it?
That was my next point. That's the best one. The only ones where I'm like, I'll give it a pass is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Dream Warriors. Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yeah,
Those are the only two where I like it. Otherwise, it's the same reason why I don't like a lot of sci-fi movies because it just feels sterile and clinical and boring.
I love it. I
I
love it so much.
I hate
That's
hate
why I
it.
love Camino so much.
I just don't like that clinical. It's fucking boring to me, and I don't. Surprisingly, I like Hellbound. I like Hellraiser too. I do, but it doesn't pick up for me until it gets to the labyrinth.
I think maybe it's because of its like basic school trauma, being under fluorescent lights and just blank walls and just halls and stuff. That's kind of why I really like the kind of like Camino because it just feels like empty hallways with just fluorescent lights, and I find it dark. I find it a very dark feeling of
I
aloneness, kind
can't
of
say
like
anything because I like the back room. So shit.
that's what I'm saying. It feels like the back rooms for me. That's
That,
why I love that kind of horror or
and
sci-fi horror.
and I love sci-fi when it has a tinge of fantasy to it. So for me, I love Halo because to me there's a bit of fantasy to it.
The only movie we have where it's like both is Star Wars.
Right, because it has both. If you like just sci-fi, you're gonna get it. And if you like just fantasy, you're gonna get it.
Right.
Both sides will be satisfied. But like even with Halo, I'm a big fan of, especially in those early games, like one and two. Two's my favorite. But the brutalist architecture, it's not overly designed like in the later games. They just overly design all the Forerunner architecture. But the architecture in the first two games is very minimal. There's just lights and blank walls and some hints of like computers and technology kind of sprinkled into the architecture. But for the most part, it's just brutalism with
Right.
lights. And there's just room at copy and pasted, room after room after room of just brutalist architecture, just blank and for me, I like that. It's very brooding, it's very dark, like the stuff you were saying. But then when it comes to like mental asylums. If it's not Arkham, I don't give two shits. Just it's just not my vibe. I just don't like mental asylums. But luckily, the movie doesn't stay there too long, and then it just becomes the Devil's Rejects again. If the beginning of 3D was the Devil's Rejects, this is just the rest of that movie. It's just the Devil's Rejects, the entire just meanness and
It's
cruelty for
so
the sake.
mean. I love it.
Is it an accurate depiction of Texas? Yeah, sure, sure, I'll give it to you. And even the sheriff, or yeah, he's the sheriff. He's just the sheriff from Devil's Rejects, where it shows you how good can fall to evil in the pursuit of evil, and I like that. He's my favorite character in the movie, and I'm sad when he dies because just like the sheriff from Devil's Rejects, my favorite part of the movie because I love the that dynamic, the theme of good falling to evil. You'll live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I love that shit. And it's personified in this guy. And I'm rooting for him the whole time. And the second character you're rooting for is a guy named Jackson. And then you got your red herring and Bud, who is he's big, he's dumb, and they break out of this mental asylum with these two other guys. This chick and this other dude. They're Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
They're out for blood. They're everything they do is sick and twisted. They're like in the middle of all this chaos and carnage. They're fucking
Hey,
or
babe, can we involve the corpse this time?
I. The first time I saw the movie, I'm like, they're gonna use the corpse. They're gonna use the corpse, aren't they? And they did. Which reminds me of Bride of Chucky. They did the same thing. Which is when I learned about necrophilia, and my life has been a downward spiral ever since.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Oh,
This whole
it's such
movie's
a good
gross.
movie. It's such a good movie.
The twist is stupid because okay,
It
so
is.
Jackson is Leatherface. Spoilers, folks. Jackson is Leatherface, but answer me this: Bud was the fat one, and Jackson's a super skinny guy, very scrawny. How does he become Leatherface? Like he's not. So does he get fat to honor Bud? Is he honoring his dead friend?
Is that your head canon?
Yeah, it is. Because it's the only thing that makes sense. Because he doesn't fit the bill. He's like his actual body type isn't Leatherface. Does he? He has to bulk up, and I don't, I just don't think he was taking powders and vitamins. Did he get fat off eating people? When did he start eating people? He was not a cannibal until when?
I think since the beginning. Since the opening scene of the movie, before he was took, they were eating people.
He couldn't even kill people. But then again, just because you can't kill a person doesn't mean you can't eat them.
There's plenty of people that can kill tons of animals. That they can't kill animals, but they'll eat them.
Then you get people like me. If I can kill it, I'll eat it. You're lucky this desk is between you and me. I've gone approximately 3 hours without touching food, and it's starting the show.
I haven't touched food since 6.
6 o'clock.
Yeah,
You haven't touched food.
yeah.
We're about to
So
have an
like
Andy's plane crash here in a minute. You've eaten
so
me.
2 hours, 2 out in 2 hours would be 12 hours.
So when you have two cannibals in the same room, who draws straws?
I don't think that's how that works.
How's this? How does this work? Like,
It would be fisticuffs, and then whoever loses.
oh, it's just a matter of will.
Yes.
I will eat you.
It's
Love it.
not a matter of when.
It's a matter of who and how. There's quite a few sharp and bludgeoning objects in this room.
Yeah, this is the prop room.
Yeah, I literally have air guns
This is where we'll be playing Morrowind tomorrow.
on that TV. Yeah, I'm gonna have to move my. Oh no, you're bringing your console.
Yeah, I'm bringing the OG Xbox.
That means there'll be a PS2, an Xbox 360, a Nintendo Wii, a DS, and the OG Xbox all in one room, played on this chunky ass TV.
I mean, that's the way to do it, man.
It was
It'll
like,
probably actually look better on that screen than the screen that I originally played it on.
what's the way it was meant to be played.
Yeah.
And the best part is, the wires in the back don't connect to the TV. Like the
Yeah.
actual, like the prong that sticks into the outlet broke off. So I literally have exposed wires in the outlet.
I mean, if it works.
Can't argue with results. I can argue with the results of Leatherface, though. I don't think the reveal's good. I enjoy the movie. It's just there's a lot of violence that just there's no substance to the violence. So I just don't.
This is where we differ.
I'm like, whatever. It's just boring to me. Like needless, excessive violence for prolonged period of time bore me. And I love violence. Violence is like a second language to me. I love violence, especially in real life. But it's got to serve some purpose. So it's got to be like a tool. And in a movie, that tool is for narrative purposes. And a lot of the violence just serves zero purpose. What, they're bad guys? Well, no shit.
We already knew that.
Yeah, like they're just constantly reinforcing that these are terrible people. And you think Jackson's cool. And he is cool. Until Bud dies. And you're like, oh, that's why this guy was in the mental asylum. Okay, that makes sense now.
He's an angry, violent child.
Well, shit, shouldn't we all be in a mental institution then? Is that all it takes? And it should be noted, this poor nurse, this was her first day on the job before she got roped into this. She had literally just got there.
Right.
And she's already being sexually assaulted, and she's now part of a hostage crisis. Now, here's the thing. Why do they need three hostages between Jackson, Bud, and the nurse? Why do they need three of them? If they just have one of them, that's far more manageable, and it's less baggage.
Well, I don't think he saw Bud as a hostage.
He thought he was doing them a favor,
Yeah.
but he wasn't. Because he immediately held him at gunpoint. He's like, if you try to run away, I'm going to shoot you. So I don't. That feels more like a hostage than I'm doing you a favor. He's like, you can fuck in the car. I'm going to shoot you. And that doesn't sound like a favor. It sounds like leverage.
I don't know. I'm sorry, man. I just really like this fucking movie.
I'll watch it again.
I love how fucking mean it is. I love the excessiveness of violence for the long period of time.
Don't jive with it, man. Ain't for me. Ain't for me.
What is this next one? Does it jive with you?
2022. Now, you were super excited for this one.
I was, man, almost a year in advance. I was telling everybody about it. Not only are they going to be putting out this new movie, but they're going to be putting out a video game too. And we finally got the video game now.
The game's really good.
Yeah.
From the gameplay I watch other Twitch streamers do.
Yeah.
We should be twitching on stream. Fuck, I did it again. We should be streaming on Twitch.
Yeah, I'll be twitching on stream.
I can't say it. We should be doing video games. I downloaded Dead by Daylight, by the way.
Okay.
So if you're down to Clown and Party Town and play some DBD, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. We gotta be doing Elder Scrolls Online though.
Damn it, you're right.
Let's stream that.
See, this is the problem with first world countries. We have like so much to do and so little time to do it all. There's too many movies, there's too many video games, too much music to listen to. I mean, there's too many monsters to fuck. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, we still gotta finish that list.
Yeah, you're right. This movie you were super hyped for, would you say it met your expectations?
Yes and no.
Okay, explain.
Yes, because I'm like, holy shit, not only does this feel like a Texas Chainsaw movie, it its themes are funny, which is a really good twist on it, which I really appreciate. I think the themes of the movie um, are construed in terms of the critics, but I really think how they execute their themes, they did a really good job with it, and the kills are good. Some of the kills
Yeah,
are mean.
they're really good kills.
Yeah,
Too much CGI for my liking, but the kills are
yeah,
good.
yeah. But I will say Sally's return is the most disappointing part of the movie because I wasn't even expecting it. At least I don't remember I was.
This is my interpretation on the whole movie. It's a comedy.
Yeah.
Not just as a comedy in the same way that like 2 was. It's a parody film of the kind of movie it is. It's another reboot in this long-standing franchise. Knows exactly what it is. Plays on all the tropes, and I think it's just making fun of itself the entire time. Everything is a subversion, and I don't know what it is about movies these days needing to be subversive. This entire movie is subversive. The very fact that we're following these Gen Z characters, or would they be? Are they Gen Alpha? I can't keep up, man.
I think they're Gen Z.
These Gen Z characters, these Instagram TikTokers, whatever you want to call them.
TikTok wasn't. Wait a minute.
It
Yeah.
was, it was,
Yeah.
it was, it was around.
2022, that was last year. Fuck
It
me.
feels both forever ago and yesterday at the same time.
Yeah.
Um,
The year is going by so
you
fast.
got these influencers. I love how they make the joke about how they're a cult. They're communists.
Right.
They're literally wanting to live in a commune. They want to make up Harlow, this abandoned town. They want to do it up and make it like this little commune for all these influencers. And it's so modern. And we're following these characters. A lot of people go, and I went in thinking this too when I first saw it, thinking that the movie wants you to feel sympathy for them and like these characters. No,
No.
no. The movie is reinforcing the fact that these people suck,
Yeah.
especially Mel, the worst character ever made. But I love to hate her.
Mm.
I do. Like I love the fact that she's there because I've never hated the character more, and I love every second she's on screen because it's the same reason. Uh, like I watch other stuff. It's like I'm purposely watching this for the sake of being angry. She pisses me off.
I might not like Sydney as much as I don't like Mel.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, Mel is not a likable. She wasn't written to be.
No.
They're all very self-righteous, pretentious pricks, and they're not fun to watch. But the movie makes you think, oh, this is like some left-leaning, some very progressive movie. That's no. If anything, I would say the movie skews right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a political movie.
No.
It's not. But like if I had to just joke with the movie itself,
Right.
I'd say it's like it's conservative propaganda. Because even Richter, he comes in and he's just like, yeah, you have a gun to kill hogs, and they're making fun because he has a gun on him. You're in Texas, and you're making fun of a guy because he has a gun on him for protection. And it's like these characters are unlikable, but everyone from the town, Richter, everything about these people, they're likable, they're understandable, and they're sympathetic. Hell, even Leatherface is understandable and I'd say sympathetic in this movie.
Man was just taking a nap upstairs.
These people came in. The woman who's been taking care of them since the fateful events of 1973, because that's when the movie takes place. The
40
original.
years later.
Yeah, the original takes place in 73, but the movie was released in 74. So this is something to note. Um, it takes place 40 years later, and this woman's been taking care of him in this orphanage dies because she has a heart attack when they come in there asking her for the deed to the house. She refuses to vacate the premises, and she's like, "No, I have a right to be here," and then she dies.
Right.
And he gets pissed off because these people came in here thinking they're tough shit, taking over this town that he grew up in. Well, not grew up in, but he lived here for the last 40 years, being taken care of by this woman, and now she dies because in his mind, they killed her.
Right.
So he's like everybody in this town is sympathetic, from Richter to even Leatherface, and they
Yeah.
make these progressive liberal kids super hateable. And so, if anything, the movie would skew right in my mind. And there's this weird theme about gun violence, and I don't really
Thank you, Discord.
I don't really understand it. So so the main girl, Mel's sister, she was in a school shooting. Already a touchy topic to have. And it's like that's why I said the movie isn't political because it doesn't really take a side, but it still incorporates like very modern things.
Mhm.
But we've always had school shootings. Yeah, but like especially in today's culture and in today's media landscape, it's very prevalent that school shootings are more and more frequent nowadays. So it's a touchy topic to have in a fucking slasher movie. And it comes up to where she has to learn to get over her fear of guns and eventually has to use a gun to try and save the day.
Mm-hmm.
I like that angle, that theme that they have going, but I really don't see why it needs to be there in the first place.
Yeah. It. I think when I said yes and no, the no part is that it's the same song and dance. Not really. You lose the cool themes and you add themes that kind of conflict with each other, but then um, in the same way that like the critics don't see it that way, the way that you just described it at all.
No.
No, and I think that was kind of its point. That yeah, we're gonna have themes, but they're not gonna be the same level as the original, you know. But it's the same song and dance. People go where they ain't supposed to be. Leatherface gets pissed about something, and then now shit's hit the fan, and he got canceled.
Bro. He got canceled, bro. I love that guy.
Dude, the bus driver went hard. Given every time he gave somebody a shot or filled up their glass, he'd take a swig of whatever vodka or tequila he was drinking.
No wonder they could have escaped the damn town. Bro could barely turn down the street. He couldn't even get a block without leading into unconsciousness. Um, the bus sequence is fantastic, and like the more I think about the movie, the more satisfied
Hmm.
I am with it because it's a comedy movie, and
Yeah.
people just don't. They think the movie's trying to say something. It's not.
No, that's its like entire point is that it's supposed to make you think that there's
Like
something.
everything's a contradiction to itself. Like even having Sally, which is just a parody on Laurie Strode in the new Halloween movie, in the 2018 Halloween movie, that she's this hardened badass who just never got over this trauma. And so 40 years later, by the way, what's she gonna do for 40 years? Is she a bounty hunter now? Does she just kill hogs? She keeps pulling out this picture like she has to look at it. Like she's oh my god, I gotta look at this picture of my friends for just to keep going. It's like 40 years later, man. Like get over yourself. You're not important to the plot. But she thinks she is. She thinks she's the main character. She really does. So when she gets reintroduced back into the story and she shows up to save the day, she can't even shoot Leatherface. The dumb bitch. She can kill Leatherface. Like what? That's what.
Had him at gunpoint, and what shook her up is that, like, she was nothing to him. Like, even though she was the only one to escape him, he doesn't remember her at all.
Just like Laurie Strode. Just like the whole dynamic with them is. In the original, they were related, but in the new movies, Michael doesn't know who she is. This doctor, Dr. Sartain, thinks there's a connection between Michael and Laurie. And so he's the reason he drives Michael to her house. So there could be a confrontation because he just wants to hear Michael talk. He wants some kind of just anything from Michael. So he takes Michael to the source where he thinks he'll get a reaction. Michael doesn't know who she is. The same thing with this. Leatherface looks at her with this puppy face look, his pleading eyes. And who are you? And I love that Leatherface doesn't attack her because she didn't do anything to him.
Yeah,
He doesn't blame her for the death of the woman that took care of him.
right.
So he doesn't attack her. And I love that. There's some humanity there. He's like, he chose not to attack her, even though she held him at gunpoint. And he didn't see her as a threat.
No. Who was that? That was me. My bad.
Um,
Overall,
it,
it's fun.
she's also thrown into the trash.
Oh yeah, literally. Sorry.
She shouldn't
Yeah.
have survived. That's my last point about the movie, is the fact that he hoists her up on the chainsaw, literally just, and then quite literally throws her in a pile of trash. And also the end sequence when Leatherface jumps out of the water
It's from 3.
is from 3.
Yeah.
There's a lot of callbacks. There's a lot of fun to be had with this movie. And if you view it as a parody and a subversive masterpiece that it definitely is not, but that it's trying to be, you'll have a good time.
It's a little bit. It's got some real good gold in it.
Yeah. It's if you see
I'm
it
just
that
spoiled.
way.
We're a little spoiled. I think I'm more spoiled than you are in terms of, what, Chandler, why can't I get a fucking good Leatherface sequel, man? I don't know. It was good. I hyped it up too much because of how much I just fucking love the series, the themes, and the atmosphere. The actual horror of this shit could actually happen. And
Has happened.
it has happened, yeah. I don't know. It's not the best, but it's also definitely not the worst. But I think it's a little better than Metal.
Mhm.
I think that's the best way to put it.
You played footsies with me under the desk?
A little bit.
Is that it? Did we finish it?
But yeah, that's all the movies.
Let's
The
rank
Yep. It's the last thing we gotta do. Thank you for letting me finish. I say that like I haven't been interrupting you the whole
Oh, it
time.
goes both ways. Do you have any finishing statements?
Go see it.
Mm.
It's on Netflix. Go see it. It's definitely a really good entry considering compared to 3 and 4. I mean, I think 4 is better just because of how shitty it is and how Matthew McConaughey fucking saves the movie.
Really
But
does.
objectively, yeah, 2022 is probably one of the better ones, you know. Yeah, man. You ready to rank these?
Oh, you got anything better to do?
No?
Let's
No.
rank them.
All right. You want to go in order, or do you want to just go number 1 and then your number 1, my number 2, and then your number 2?
We did that with Hellraiser, and I got a bit confused. Not confused, it's just I thought that kind of formatting was weird. So I'll let you go, and then I'll go.
Okay. So my number 1 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first one.
No, you keep going.
Oh,
Yeah.
mine is the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Texas Chainsaw the Beginning, Texas Chainsaw 2003, Texas Chainsaw 4, Texas Chainsaw, or excuse me, 4, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw 2022, 3D, and then 2.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man. All right, let's get to the definitive list.
Okay. All right.
It's probably not going to be too much different. There would be a significant
Oh,
change.
did I mention three?
Do you need to?
I would put three above 3D.
Directly above it?
Yeah.
Okay. Texas Chainsaw 1. I'm going to have to say New Generation. I think that's a bigger hot take than anything that you just said. The first one, New Generation. The remake, then I'm going to say 2. Then I'm going to say The Beginning. Then I'm going to say 2022. Then I'm going to say 3.
Is Leatherface really your least favorite?
Hold on. Yeah, 3D, and then Leatherface.
Wow.
No, I like Leatherface. I think it's far more controversial to put New Generation at 2 than to say Leatherface is last.
I don't know. Is saying New Generation is the second best compared to saying that the second movie was the worst movie in the franchise?
Fair enough. We both had some very interesting hot takes, or maybe everyone else just has bad takes.
Yeah, we just have good ones. We're just the best. Nothing but bangers, Chandler.
Awesome. Guys, real quick before we wrap it up here, quick discourse correction. So 2 episodes ago, I mentioned this movie about a killer video game. Remember that one?
Yeah, I thought it was Killer Auto.
You thought it was Killer Auto? Yeah. No, it was not. Guys, it was that stupid Malcolm in the Middle movie. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, yeah, that's the whole point. It's called Stay Alive, guys. It stars the kid from Malcolm in the Middle. No, Bryan Cranston isn't in it. But it's about a killer video game. And
Oh yeah.
do you remember it now?
Yeah, I remember. Movie Timelines talked about it
It's
in terms of Saw clones.
it's not. It's not. It's not. If anything, it's a ripoff of The Ring.
Yeah, I
If
could see
if
that. Yeah.
anything, Stay Alive is a ripoff of The Ring. I it's pretty good. I was a big fan of that movie when it came out, but it was really gnawing at me. That's what the whole point of discourse correction is, and so I can sleep at night. Because I said it was called like Rose Redder, which is a play on Rose Matter, which is a Stephen King thing. So I was like, I have to fix this because I actually like Stay Alive. So guys, check that out. But as far as Texas Chainsaw goes, they're making another one, right?
I think so, but it's not even in pre. It just talks about it.
Are they gonna reboot it again? There's like 5 or 6 different timelines, man.
Yeah,
It's more than Halloween.
I got that on you.
Is that a good thing? You said like it was a positive.
New
I
beginnings, man.
if it comes to theaters and doesn't come to streaming, then we're gonna go see it.
Yes.
Regardless, I don't care.
I don't care if it sucks. I'm going to the theaters. Get a big ass thing of popcorn.
Oh my god! I hope they have like a tub of popcorn themed
Yeah.
after Texas Chainsaw. Or, or hell, like you know how the Cinemassacre logo is like a film reel, but it's a chainsaw.
Hmm.
I kind of hope that they give away those, like this little ones. Like look, you see over there? That's a Top Gun Maverick popcorn tin.
Oh right,
I
yeah.
have next to the TV, right next to the Gallica cabinet in my banjo case. Yeah, there's a Top Gun Maverick popcorn can. I hope there's something like that for
Yeah,
the movie.
like King Kong had a big bucket, and or the Peter Jackson King Kong had the big bucket and the big gulp cup.
Oh, like it's rare. They only do it for like really big movies. I highly doubt they would do it for Leatherface, but like they did for John Wick, they did it for Top Gun, like they did it for these big blockbusters. But when I think of Texas Chainsaw, it's a very important film to cinema
Hmm.
and should be regarded very highly. So if it comes back to theaters, which I very hope that it does, I hope they do something special for it. It's just been a minute.
Yeah, I imagine like the cup, the handle is chainsaw.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just something.
yeah.
Just something. Uh, well, folks, thank you for sticking with us. This was a long one. And a lot of it did not pertain to the topic, but I hope that it goes back to what we're saying. It's all about the journey, not necessarily the destination.
And here we are at the end.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Now get the fuck out of my house.